It really doesn't matter what you think. All right? And it really doesn't matter what you say.
All right, am I on? It's freezing up for me a little bit. It's acting kind of slow on streamer. Give me 1 second. Okay, it looks like I'm on. What's going on, everybody? Christian Ballard here, Ballard Sports Media. Give me one. There we go. What's going on, everybody? Christian Ballard here, Ballard Sports Media, coming at you live tonight. I do apologize for that. It was kind of freezing up on StreamYard just a little bit, but it seems like it's all good and working. Talking tonight, it is still conference championship week. It is Monday, off to a good start, a good week, a lot of news. But before we dive in tonight, I want to talk about how Alabama can beat Georgia. I know there's a lot of talk, and I know – and listen, I don't blame the Georgia fans really, and I know they're not saying it out of bias. They're saying it because Alabama has flaws. I know that. I understand that. We'll get to that later on. But first, the news out of Baton Rouge, or whatever you want to call it. Brian Kelly – going to the Bayou. That's right. From Ireland to the Bayou in the SEC, Brian Kelly is going to LSU. Now, this is an amazing hire, I think. I think this is going to be really interesting. Brian Kelly, an amazing football coach at Notre Dame. Overall, I mean, he makes about, $1,600 something a year. I mean, it's not too much, but it's a pretty good, decent salary for him at Notre Dame. Why he accepted the job, I don't know. But you look at this man, 92-39 record, right, overall at Notre Dame. Overall, as a head coach, he is 263, 96, and 2. 2 tie games, I guess. He's 6-5 in bowl games. He's 0-2 in the college football playoff. Those losses to Bama and Clemson. So, I mean, it's not like he laid an egg or anything like that. He's got 2 Division II championships, 1 MAC, 2 Big East. He's been around for quite some time. He was at Central Michigan, started as a grad assistant for Tom Beck and Grand Valley State. He was a good recruiter and a good defensive coordinator. He's a defensive mastermind. And I was talking actually with Pigskin Pete a couple weeks ago on his call-in show. I can't remember who I brought up, whose name I mentioned. But the point I was trying to make was LSU, I thought, needed to maybe get a defensive-minded coach, because that's what LSU's been built on, is defense historically. That's what the SEC's always been built on. I know we're kind of in this offensive era, but I mean, look at Alabama, look at Georgia, all the different recruits you see coming in too now. I mean, we talk all about quarterbacks and receivers. A lot of the guys you're going to see sign and that are committed to these great SEC programs and really just programs around the country. There's a lot of defensive players back there. The top player in the draft this year, a lot of people talking about, you do have, first off, a guy from LSU and Derek Stingley. I know LSU's down, but that doesn't take away talent or anything from a player. You look at a guy in Kayvon Thibodeau from Oregon. I mean, defense still runs deep in college football. So it's a big thing. It's a big deal. This is not full on official yet, I don't think. But the rumors are that they are nearing a deal with Brian Kelly. That being said, let's say that if he does get hired at LSU, because again, nothing's official, but this is the rumors that we're hearing. The Athletic has put it out. San Diego Union Tribune put it out. ESPN put it out. A lot of people this is trending. Going to LSU, right? Why is he leaving Notre Dame? I don't know. Did they throw the right amount of money at him? Maybe so. I mean, this is crazy. I think I never would have expected, of all of the different coaches, right? You hear Billy Napier's going to Florida. You hear all these different coaches. Forget about who's going where. All the different coaching names we've heard. Lincoln Riley, Bob Stoops, Luke Fickell at Cincinnati. Someone brought up Gus Malzahn. I'm like, he's not going back to the SEC. He's not, right? I even heard LSU was going to try to go after Jimbo Fisher. Not one single person, at least from me, right? At least from what I had heard, nobody said Brian Kelly. I never would have thought, too. I mean, you think about Notre Dame. You think about Brian Kelly, but I mean, you don't think, is he going to be a true candidate? Like, I don't know. But what does this mean for the SEC? Well, nothing right now. Is it a great hire? I think it's interesting. I think it's crazy. Not like crazy, like ridiculous, but it intrigues me. I like Brian Kelly. I think he's obviously done pretty good at Notre Dame. He's 92-39 is his record, right? I mean, he's made the playoffs 2 different times. With Notre Dame, he made the national title game, in the 2012-2013 season. Of course, Alabama dominating and blowing them out, but to get them in the BCS championship game is pretty remarkable and good on his record within his first maybe 3 years or so. And just overall his recruiting. I mean, it's not always a top 5 or really always top 10, but somewhere at least I think Notre Dame can fall in like the top 20. And they've, they went from like a 2016 4-8 to a 10-3 2017 season, right? And it's, it's just Notre Dame, you don't know what you're going to get from them, right? And I don't know what I'm trying to get at. Notre Dame's been up and down with Brian Kelly, but for the most part, it's been pretty remarkable what he's done over there. The problem with Notre Dame, really, that I can say is they don't have a conference and they expect to be treated like any other one-loss team, and they should get the nod for a playoff spot. Well, I'm sorry. You joined the ACC last year. You got in as a one-loss team because your loss was a conference championship and it was to Clemson and blah, 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 this and that, right? Now you're not you're not in a conference right now. But Brian Kelly, I think, I'm not going to I'm not going to say this is a great hire. I'm not going to say it's a terrible hire. I'm going to say we'll wait and see because I'm not ready to call it. But I do think it's very interesting, at least for right now. I think Brian Kelly's going to do I would expect him to maybe do okay. I mean, he did some great recruiting at Notre Dame. Um, and, I think he's a good recruiter. And I think that's really what LSU needs. I mean, they've had some good players, don't get it wrong. But going forward, you're going to put Brian Kelly, who just spent almost a decade at Notre Dame, or really longer than that. He's been there quite some time, in the Independence League. Right? Now, don't get it wrong. They played some teams like Alabama, Clemson, Georgia. They played it. Have they beaten them? No. Now you expect him to go to LSU and handle teams like that on a regular basis. The Georgias, the Alabamas, the Auburns. I'll even give them some credit. Florida's their cross-division rival. What's that going to look like with Billy Napier? We'll see. But overall, I'm not completely sold on this. But at the same time, I'm not completely looking at this like, is LSU crazy? I think it's interesting, and I think only time will tell. But we will see. Again, his records and everything are pretty good. 263, 96-2. He's 6-5 in his bowl games, 11-4 in the Division II playoffs. He was the Grand Valley State coach from 1991 to 2003. So overall, he does have a good record. He's 6-5 in bowl games. So I mean, yeah, record-wise and everything, he's an amazing coach. But the thing I'm trying to get at is, and hear me out, I don't know if he will. Is he a good fit? Forget it being LSU. He's going to have to handle the SEC. He's coming from the independents with Notre Dame to the SEC. That's where it's intriguing, because you could put a great-minded head coach in there. Right? And you could put a coach at a program. Oh, he's got a great record. But against who? What's the competition? What has he had to deal with? And what's his record against SEC teams? Honestly, I don't know. If anyone does know, help me out. Let me know. Let me plug this in real quick. Hold on. There we go. Overall, I think it's interesting. I'm not going to say it's – I see people in the comments saying it's a great hire. I think it was a shocking hire and a bold hire. I wasn't really hearing Brian Kelly on the radar. I think it'll turn out okay. I think, like I said, only time will tell. Now, is he going to lead LSU to a season like Coach O did, where they win the title and win it all? Maybe, but we'll see. So, I don't know. That being said, let me get this up too. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, all that good stuff. Love y'all. Favorite time of year, December's only 2 days away. Don't forget, at the same time, in about 10 days, celebrating 2 years on here. It's been 2 amazing years. It really has. Anyway, the main topic point of conversation tonight, I'm here all week talking about it. And I got to hear from y'all. How can Alabama beat Georgia in the SEC championship? I'm not here to give my official prediction or anything, and I'll get you guys on here pretty soon. But with all of the news, right, and with everything we're hearing, and I know you guys are going to sit there and say you struggled in the Iron Bowl, you struggled against an unranked Auburn, Alabama struggled this, Alabama did that. They don't have anything, right? They don't have an O-line. They need receivers. They need talent. Stop. I get it. Listen, I'm not picking Alabama. I'm not picking Georgia yet. I don't know. I've said some things here or there, but I'll say this. Georgia's not unbeatable. Nobody is unbeatable. Nobody's unstoppable. And there is a way Alabama can beat Georgia. Is it easy? No. Is it easy for Georgia to go in there and beat Alabama? I'll say no. It's not easy for either one of these teams. It's not necessarily one-sided. I understand Georgia is the best team in college football right now. I understand that. Is Alabama the best team? No, they're not anywhere close. There are quite a few teams better than Alabama this year. Georgia, Cincinnati's undefeated. Did you see the Michigan-Ohio State game? I mean, there's a lot. But if there is any way for Alabama to beat Georgia, what do you have to do? You have to have a defense. You have to hope that you can shut down their quarterback, Stetson Bennett. They put up against ranked teams. First off, let me just say this. Against the ranked teams that they've played. At the time, it started out with Clemson, right? What was it? 3-4 or something? 3-5? Georgia wasn't quite at the very top. Clemson's fallen off, of course. They beat them 10-3. Their next ranked game was Arkansas. They shut them out 37-0. The next week, they go to Jordan-Hare, beat number 18 Auburn on the road, 34-10. Right? Kentucky, the next week, was number 11, 30-13, and so on and so forth. Right? Impressive. You can score about 30-something points a game. You know what Bryce Young did this past Saturday in those overtimes in the Iron Bowl? He proved himself that he could be a good quarterback. He finally did that. Ice Young. Ice in his freaking veins. He showed poise. He delivered the football. He looked amazing. I still think this is Georgia's year. Don't get it twisted. I've been saying it, and I'm going to keep saying it. Alabama is not a national title type of team this year. They just are not at that level. It's Georgia and everybody else for one season. This is it. This is their best shot. Kirby's in a great position to do all of this, right? I do think Georgia's going to win. I want Alabama to win, but I think Georgia's going to win this game. I'll do my preview video later on, get it recorded, get it out to you guys. But if there's any way Alabama can win this game, they need defense to show up like it's never showed up before. Because I'll tell you what, Georgia's O-line's pretty good too. Will Anderson's got to pressure Stetson Bennett, got to get after the quarterback, right? They got to play. Can you stop this Georgia defense? First off, someone tell me, have they faced a very fast tempo offense? Because I think Alabama just needs to up the tempo on offense a bit in some sort of way. Run the ball, right? Who's John Mechie's pretty fast. Jamison Williams, pretty fast, speedy receiver. Got great speed, got great hands for Alabama. I'll tell you what, if a Georgia defender lets a guy like Jamison Williams of Alabama get behind him, it's all over. Bryce Young's getting him that football, and Williams is going to the end zone. If the offensive line can protect Bryce Young, have him kill a little bit of time in the pocket, and you let a speedy receiver like that go forward, get behind the secondary, and you can beat them like that. I'm not saying they're going to. That's not what I'm saying at all. But I will say that Georgia's not unbeatable. Have they met their match? I don't know. I don't think they have. And again, this isn't a rip on Georgia type of video or stream or anything. It's not like that, right? I mean, the line, by the way, right now is 6.5 points. So they do expect a close game, and I would expect a close game too. Alabama scoring only 2 more points on offense than Georgia is. They're at 42 points a game. Georgia's at 40 points a game. What scares me, though, allowing 19 points a game for Alabama, that's not too bad. But the fact that Georgia's only given up a touchdown a game, 6.9, that scares the hell out of me. I don't know about you. I think if our offensive line steps it up and plays the game of their life, Evan Neal, I'm looking at you. I'm looking at you, Evan Neal. I'm looking at you, I'm looking at the offensive line. We got quite a few guys. I kind of rotate them. I'm trying to think of some other. Darian Dalcourt, Emil Ekior, I'm looking at you. J.C. Latham, whoever's out there, you better block like you've never blocked before. Block like you never have before, and you can beat Georgia. If you can protect Bryce Young in the pocket, and you let a speedy receiver get behind the defender, and you can throw a bomb to the end zone, you can win this game. There's really not much they can do. All I can say is they better have an offensive line in this game, or else Georgia's going to kill them. Georgia will kill Alabama in the SEC title if the offensive line is not fixed to protect Bryce Young. Because Bryce Young under pressure, I'll tell you what, he's great. He handled pressure kind of good against Auburn at times, but at the same time, he hasn't faced pressure like what he's going to face this Saturday. I'm just saying. And Alabama, look, the run game with Brian Robinson, you can't run the ball on this defense. You can't. You have to throw the ball. I'm sorry. I'd hate it. I know. We have to throw the ball through the air. And we just got to trust our receivers. They're great. Jamison Williams, John Mechie, I'm looking at y'all. Crimson says Bryce been pressured all year. I know. I'm just saying I don't think he's going to face pressure like what he'll face against guys like Jordan Davis. I don't know if I want to meet that man. That guy's huge. I'm just kidding. It'd be cool to meet a guy like that. I'm sure he's got a good heart and everything, but that's a big dude. That guy's going to get all over Bryce Young. But if Alabama's offensive line can step it up, if the O-line can step it up and the receivers can actually catch the darn ball, make big plays, explosive plays, and not let, the secondary of Georgia, because they got some good secondary players too in the backfield. If they can get behind them, if they could get ahead, I should say, of the secondary players, go to the end zone. Bryce Young, this is what you have. You have Bryce Young, if his offensive line blocks like they've never blocked in their life, he's got the protection. You hope John Mechie, you hope Jamison Williams can get ahead of the Georgia defenders. And they're wide open, and he drops a bomb to them. Boom, touchdown, Alabama. Touchdown, Crimson Tide. You do that a few different times in this game, and Pete Golding has a good defensive plan to put Stetson Bennett to sleep. Alabama can beat the Dogs in Atlanta this Saturday. Now, again, I got my preview video coming out here in a couple days for you, and I got my own opinions. I want Alabama to win, but in my own opinion, I'll just go ahead and say, and we'll worry about the score later, I do think Georgia's going to win this game. I wouldn't be surprised if Alabama found a way to win it. In a way, I don't know, but I think this is all Georgia's year. 15-0 setup for them. This is their year. And Bama's gonna fall again somewhere. I don't know. Believe me, as a fan, I want them to win. But overall, I gotta give credit where credit is due. And Georgia's just that good of a team. But I just told you, if those receivers can run like hell against the secondary, get in front of them, and the offensive line blocks for Bryce Young, and Pete Golding on defense can get his stuff together, have a good game plan, we'll win this game. We'll see what happens. But overall, this is probably the toughest test Nick Saban's ever had to face in his career at Alabama. I'm telling you that right now. All right, screw it. I'm just going to go ahead and drop the link for you guys. Let's get you all on. Let me catch up on these comments, too. I hope I made some good points. How about play Brooks board? That's a great, hey, let me tell you, Crimson, I saw that man, Ja'Cory Brooks, I'm assuming you're talking about from Miami, Florida, 6'2", 190. That man has some hands. JoJo Earl is the guy you got to look out for. There's a few guys on that roster in the receiving room that Alabama has that can make some good plays on offense. What's up, Sam? How you doing, buddy?
What's up, man?
My man Jacob, what's up?
Hey, what's up, Ballard? It's our year.
Would you agree with what I said on how Alabama, if anything, beats Georgia?
I disagree with one thing. You said that just bomb it over the top. You're not going to have protection for that. What Bama needs to do, they need to hit short, quick passes over the middle and to the outside. Long passes, I know the receivers can get there, but the line is just not going to block for enough time for that. And Georgia's DBs are not trying.
That's what I'm worried. See, that's what I'm worried about to death is
now. This is what Alabama can do. If they can have a running back and two tight ends on the out, so you got match protection, you got 8 blockers, and then you can have well, you need Ja'Cory. You need to use Ja'Cory Brooks. I mean, that guy's a star for Alabama.
Dude, he had his breakout. Like, I don't want to say Heisman moment, obviously.
And isn't he only a freshman?
He's only a freshman. But his breakout game was Saturday against Auburn. That was
who else is a future star for Bama? And I think this is Will Anderson 2.0. Dallas Turner. That's Will Anderson.
Oh, dude. 2.0. Dallas Turner. First off, that's a hell of a name right there. Is Dallas Turner. That's a cool name. But, yeah, man, he's good. He's really good. And he's one of the guys that they picked up this year that a lot of people were really high on. He had a lot of offers. I think maybe one of them was Georgia. Not that we stole him from Georgia, but I mean, he's really good, man.
Well, let me say this: Bama's best shot at throwing it deep, max protection, have Jameson Williams, Corey Brooks, and Mechie, 2 of the 3 receivers on streak routes, and just max like 8 blockers. Like that. That's the only way I think they can go deep. That's my honest opinion. There's no way you're gonna have 5 offensive linemen. You're going to think that you're going to just throw it deep on Georgia. No, you're not going to have enough time. And Georgia's DBs they're good. They're just not as good as the front 7.
Yeah, so. See, and they're so good. It's like, I mean, you can, but you can't block them. You know what I mean? Like, you can hold them up, but, man, they're just – and especially Brooks, the big guy, Jordan Davis. I mean, he's just going to push through them, you know?
Well, that's a must double team. What I think Bama needs to do, I think they have to double team Jordan Davis. I think your best bet is having Evan Neal try to block Jalen Carter 1-on-1, and then you can.
That'll be a good matchup. That'll be good.
And then you can I think you can double team Devontae White on the inside, and you'll just have to have another guy out on the outside blocking Georgia's other defensive end. So that's I think, and then you're gonna have a running back in the block, in the backfield. That's what I think Bama needs to do. And running the ball, that you should just take those plays out of your playbook. Like, I'm sorry, but you're not.
Let me ask you this, Jacob. I'm not asking. I'm not going to ask this like, do you think? But if you're the playoff committee and you play Georgia and it's close. Like let's say
No. No.
Georgia beats them. Hold on. Let me finish. 23-20, let's say. Bama's played a great game. They did a lot better than expected. They come up just short. Are they one of the 4 teams you're putting in the playoffs?
Well, I definitely consider it if they didn't go out and lose to Texas A&M, but since they have that loss, no. You can't be a 2-loss team and not win your conference title. No, absolutely not.
Thank you. That's exactly what I've been trying to say, but everyone else wants to say Bama could still get in because they're still one of the 4 best teams, even if they lost. They're not one of the 4 best teams in college football this year. They're not.
We'd be having
They're great. Go ahead.
If they didn't lose to Texas A&M, we'd be having a different conversation. But since they do have that loss, no. Same thing with Michigan, Oklahoma State, Cincinnati. No, they all have to win, except Georgia.
There's a so I'll have to go back and hear Saban's presser from earlier, but I guess they clipped apart. They clipped apart where he was talking about. Literally the quote is, "We need." They meant to put 2, but they put we need a have. But they said we need to have a good plan to block Georgia, and that is my issue. I think you could hold them up for maybe no more than 3 seconds. After that, it's on, and Bryce Young's on.
You can hold them more than 3 seconds. You just need extra players to do it.
Oh, honestly, now that I think about it, there is one way Bama can win this game. It's simple.
Well, you have to hold Georgia down on defense.
Nope. You know what we do?
What?
Put in the backup quarterback.
Oh, good Lord.
Not on this defense, actually. I'll say this. Because, you've had great defenses, but this is that good that they'll handle anybody. You know what I mean?
If I'm Saban, I'm trying to come up with some trick plays for this weekend. That's something.
Try to run reverses or flea flickers or whatever.
Saban doesn't do that stuff because he always has the advantage. Well, if you're going to win this game, Saban, I think you're probably going to have.
You have to play very fast tempo offense, which they don't do. You have to, like you said, trick plays, which they really don't do too much.
Because you
have to basically do whatever weird magician trick to confuse Georgia.
Well, and here's another thing.
And I really don't know if we have that. I really don't know.
Remember when Clemson was outplaying Alabama 6 years ago in 2015?
The one where we still won the game?
Yeah. You know how y'all got back into the game? Y'all hit an onside kick.
Yeah. We need tricks like that.
And I'm not saying
we need. Yeah.
I'm not saying you need an onside kick, but you do. You need offensive trick plays against Georgia.
How weird would it be? I swear, I dare someone to say this, but I swear on my life, if someone out there says all you got to do is keep the Georgia defense on the bench, you know what that's basically saying? Don't have offense out there, Alabama. You'll win this game.
Well, I think.
Could you imagine? I don't know what else to do because normally, yeah. Go ahead.
I think if Georgia gets the 3 touchdowns, they win the game. Less than that, I think Alabama.
You think the so you think maybe the first to 3 scores or at least 3 touchdowns?
No. I'm saying if Alabama wants to win this game, it has to be 2 touchdowns or less for Georgia. If Georgia scores 3, they're done. Now, if Alabama scores 3, Georgia can still win, I think. But if Georgia...
Yeah. Now, let me ask you... Okay.
Georgia's going to beat Bama this Saturday.
No kidding. That's a given. Yeah. Now, let me ask you this, Jacob.
I was going to talk about something else. But go ahead.
Okay. Would you trust Alabama's secondary to maybe cover at least one receiver of Georgia? Like, could you trust that in a way?
I think you need to double team George Pickens.
Oh, that's right. He is playing in this game, isn't he? At some point.
Yep. And here's a bad matchup for
Oh,
Alabama.
we're
Here's a
screwed.
bad
That
matchup.
man, not only does he have good hands, he's fast as hell.
Well, no, here's the bad matchup for Alabama. You have Georgia's tight ends Darnell Washington and Brock Bowers versus Alabama's linebackers. That's a horrible matchup.
That's your
Alabama.
offensive line right there is those guys because they're still good at blocking too.
No, I'm saying Alabama's linebackers covering Georgia's tight ends. That's a horrible matchup. And I know Alabama can use a safety, but
even if you have a guy like Will Anderson.
No, what Will Anderson's not good in pass coverage.
Jacob Watson, listen, man. Georgia's gonna beat Alabama.
Yeah.
Like, come
Yeah,
on,
pretty
dude.
much.
Yeah. Let's talk about the LSU hire. Brian Kelly going to LSU.
Well, I have to say this. Brian Kelly.
Here's my opinion. I think LSU should go hire Bob Stoops. Seriously.
See, here's the problem. I don't think Bob Stoops is. He's just coaching this ball game. I don't think he's going to come out of retirement. I see where you're going, but
I think he
well,
should.
I don't think he will.
Well, I think he should. LSU should go get him.
Well, Brian Kelly, I think one reason why he's losing these big games, look at the limitations Notre Dame has. I mean, first of all, they're a religious school, which religious schools have like restrictions on a lot of things that you can do at other colleges, so that keeps people away. Academics are really high, that keeps people away. So it's just Notre Dame has too many limitations, and really, it's not that good.
Does Notre Dame not offer scholarships?
They do, but it's just like they just no like limitations, as in like there's not many things you can really do there as you can do as other colleges. Academics are high. It's not as good as a job as people think it is. So I think Brian Kelly is a good coach. He just needs a better job, and he needs to leave Notre Dame. Now, I've also heard two main names for Oklahoma. I've heard Matt Campbell and I've heard Ed Orgeron.
I've heard both of those today as well, actually.
Well, they're talking about, Oklahoma wants to come get our Tennessee football coach.
Who?
They want to come get our coach from Tennessee.
Oh, you talking about Josh Heupel? Oh yeah, Josh Heupel. I heard that. Yeah, I don't know Josh Heupel's. Yeah, I don't think he'll leave. I mean, he's building Tennessee in the right direction.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about this. What do y'all think about Lincoln Riley to USC? Is it an upgrade or a downgrade?
Upgrade.
I think it's an upgrade as well. And the reason why is because, and I think one of the main reasons why he left, he couldn't get the defense at Oklahoma. And I think he's thinking that he can get it at USC.
Well, he couldn't get, he's going to have a pay raise,
Yeah, that's another thing. $12 million a year, right?
Yeah, and he was getting a pay raise, but he left. Because Oklahoma did it too late.
Yeah, I think Oklahoma's a good. All right, my opinion, USC is the best job in the country. That's my opinion.
Well, USC is still under restrictions.
Still?
Because of what the former USC coach that's at the Seattle Seahawks in the pros of what he did.
Oh, Pete Carroll?
Yeah.
Still under restrict. Okay, well, still. It's still the best job in the country, I think.
I know.
I mean,
What's
you
up,
have a
Jeff?
national,
What's
you have a
up?
national
What's up,
championship.
JW?
What's going on, Jeff Webster?
The two best jobs in this country do not include USC. The two best coaching jobs in this country in college football are at the University of College Football, which you know is the University of Alabama,
Where
and at
legends are made.
and at Our Lady of Victory, which you know is Notre Dame. Why in the hell Brian Kelly, who has done a master job, a Da Vinci job, a Columbus job, an Einstein job, why he would leave South Bend for
any
the
place.
dump, for a dump, I have no clue whatsoever.
Can I
It's
ask you
all about.
can I
listen,
ask you a question, Jeff
And
Webster?
my phone has been blowing up for the last 4 hours. In fact, while I was trying to get into the room here, I got another email that Matt Campbell is being talked about as a possible replacement at Notre Dame.
Wow.
Oh, well, I heard.
Now, anybody who knows him, and I do, and saw him on the field Friday like I did, and how emotional he was for senior day throughout the entire game and in his post-game conference, Matt Campbell acted like a coach who knew this was his last game in Ames. He acted and coached and spoke and looked around and talked and walked and did everything like a guy who knew this was going to be his last time.
Yeah.
I think he knows he's leaving. I think he told Florida no. I think Florida came to him and he told them no. That's just my opinion. Because as my opinion has been all along, he will not leave the Midwest. And if the Notre Dame job comes open, that would be his I'm going to be there for 30 years unless they fire me. That's I'm going there to coach and die there.
I'll tell you what, these coaching
he'll be one of those. He'll be one of those. If you take the Notre Dame job, that's what I don't understand with Brian Kelly. He was under no coaching pressure whatsoever.
Not at all.
As long as he kept doing what he was doing, he could have coached there for 25 more years. That's what Matt Campbell wants. Matt Campbell wants a cherry Midwest job where he can sit down and say, I'm going nowhere. I'm going to be an old man when I leave here, unless, of course, they fire me. But I'm not. I want to go to a place where I'm never going to leave. And if the Notre Dame job came open, he would probably break his legs trying to get out of the chair fast enough to say yes.
I will say this. I think that Brian Kelly had it going for him at Notre Dame, and I think everything. I mean, what was he there for? 10 years, 12 years? I mean, it was quite a long time. I think it's one of those why not one of those why take the job at LSU, but dude, you had everything set for you at Notre Dame, and now there's no going back there, is there? I mean, if he fails at LSU,
well, he hasn't left yet.
Right. It's we're all acting like it's official and we don't know that for sure.
But if he does go to LSU like people are expecting him to at this point, and he's failing there and he's realizing, holy crap, I made the biggest mistake.
Oh no, you can't go back.
Does Notre Dame call him back?
No. There's no going back. No. Kelly has had, with the exception of national championships, if you don't count national championships, he's had the most successful 10-year run in the entire history of Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Since a guy like Newt Rockney or whoever.
Well, I think one reason why he might want to leave is he can't get the talent at Notre Dame to beat top tier teams, and maybe he's thinking that at LSU he can, even though they're in a bad spot.
Let me
That's
explain. Let me explain something to you who don't know what you're talking about. You know who Notre Dame has lost to in the last 10 years?
Alabama.
Georgia.
Yeah. You know who they lost
Clemson.
to? And the teams they've lost to were all
Are not
what
bad.
what did they all have in common? What did they all have in common?
Losing
They
record.
were top 10, if not top
yeah.
5.
They were all ranked higher than Notre Dame.
Every time.
Notre Dame does not, all capitals, italics, underlined, blinking letters,
They don't take an upset.
does not lose to teams lower ranked than them. The only teams that have beaten Notre Dame are teams that should have beaten Notre Dame because they were ranked higher.
So Notre Dame's sitting there ranked as high as they can, and they're looking at everyone below them saying,
"Get you some of this, bitch."
And I'm going to tell you another thing about Notre Dame. You go to a job interview, I don't care what it is, and you're sitting there in your jacket and tie, and your university credentials say, well, my degree in engineering or my degree in whatever it is came from the University of Notre Dame, and everybody else in the room went somewhere not Notre Dame, you're getting a job.
oh, for sure.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I just think that he wants a national title.
A Jet Wester.
Now, I think to agree with Jacob on one thing, I think one of the things that might have been like, under his skin, like one of those things you get, like when you eat popcorn and you get the husk in your teeth and you just can't get the damn thing out. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
you got the toothpick going, you got everything going, and you just can't get the damn thing out.
Yep.
It might have been he really wanted to get in a conference and couldn't convince the school to join one.
Oh, yeah.
That could have been that could be one of those behind the scenes we'll never know.
Because he knows that they value conference champions.
Right. He knows he's got to get in a conference if he wants serious playoff consideration. Because look at this year.
To another.
Because look at this year. If it's chalk Saturday, if we get chalk and we get Georgia wins, Cincinnati wins, and Michigan wins, there's the 1, 2, and 3 spots. Okay. If it comes down to who's going to take the number 4 spot, let's say Oklahoma State wins the Big 12. A 1-loss Oklahoma State is going to beat a 1-loss Notre Dame because Notre Dame didn't play a conference championship game. And Notre Dame, who probably is one of the 4 best teams in the country, is not going to go to the playoffs because they're not in a conference. And that might just be driving Brian Kelly crazy. Who knows? We don't know. We don't know.
Honestly, I never really thought of it like that from the coaching standpoint.
Well,
you got because I mean, and Notre Dame's weird as it is. They're in like the Big Ten and like hockey and everything, and they're in the ACC and basketball and any other sport like soccer. And here they are in football. Why the hell aren't they in a conference? Why not in football?
What people forget is when you go back to, was it 08? I can't remember when it was. When Maryland and Rutgers were added to the Big Ten. The Big Ten, behind the scenes, went to Notre Dame and said, this is it. You can't give us a call. If you call us in the future, we're going to hang up on you. And we're never calling you again. Come in now or forever forget it. Now.
So that was their true.
Right. I've tried to make this argument forever. And now hear me out, because it's going to take a minute, but you got to hear me out on this. Okay. I grew up in the Midwest. Okay.
Yeah.
Notre Dame's guts, their guts, who they are, is Midwest and Catholic. Yeah. That's who Notre Dame is. That's their soul. That's their spirit.
Never turn on it.
That's their spirit. That's their fan base. That's who their blood is.
Yeah.
And if you look at a map, if you've never seen a map, Google South Bend, Indiana, and look where it's at. If you get in your car and you leave the parking lot of the football stadium at Notre Dame, within a few quick hours, you're in Bloomington, Indiana, West Lafayette, Indiana, Ann Arbor, Michigan, East Lansing, Michigan, Evanston, Illinois, Champaign, Illinois, Madison, Wisconsin, Columbus,
They're
Ohio.
basically Big Ten
They're all those Big Ten schools. All those Big Ten schools were within 3 or 4 hours at most by car from South Bend. They are geographically, they are religiously, and that matters, and culturally right in the middle of the Big Ten. And academically,
Look at it. Here we go.
They are, they are the preeminent fit for the Big Ten.
I would fully agree. I mean, you see there. Here's
and
Pennsylvania.
it's just, for the life of me, the life of me, I can't figure out why those two, by which I mean the Big Ten and the Notre Dame administration, why those two bullheaded, refuse to yield. Why those two parties can't figure this out. I mean, Notre Dame fits in the Big Ten like Alabama and Georgia and Tennessee fit in the SEC. I mean, it's just, that's where they are,
Oh, wow.
That's who they are. You couldn't for what's Athens, Georgia? An hour and a half from the Atlantic Ocean. I mean, but you would never consider the University of Georgia as an ACC school. They are Southern. Right. They are Stars and Bars Confederate. They are Southern accent, Protestant, football, redneck, shotgun in the back of the pickup truck window. They are SEC. That's their blood.
Well, Jeff Webster,
yeah.
I know about Matt Campbell, so I have a question. I heard some rumors that that he might go to Oklahoma. Do you think that might happen?
Now, that would really surprise me. I don't think he would. That's not saying that he wouldn't. I mean, Oklahoma shows up with, like I said in somebody's stream the other night, I've had many private conversations with Matt Campbell. It's not like the man and I know each other and have sat down and had sandwiches together, but I mean,
that's fair too. W.
I know the man's voice. He knows me by, he says, "Hi, Jeff." We know who each other is. I've met his wife, Erica, several times. I've taken pictures of his kids. I mean, I know, but
wait, what?
He's making $4 million a year. Okay. Somebody shows up and opens up a suitcase on your desk and says, "Looky here," and inside's $8-9 million, and you're making $4. You know what I mean? Never say never.
Right,
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, never say never. I mean, it's like, if you were getting $100 a day to mow the yards in your neighborhood, and somebody came up to you and said, "Hey, if you don't mow this neighborhood and instead you mow mine, I'll give you $200. Guess where you're going to go mow tomorrow? That's right. Guess whose grass you're cutting tomorrow?
Yeah.
Hell yeah. I mean,
well, yeah.
That's why.
Matt Campbell.
I have a question.
I mean, you see it all the time.
I would never say no, but it would surprise me. What I'm absolutely not surprised about is that he didn't become the LSU or Florida coach. Not that they, maybe they didn't seriously want him. That could be the case.
I have a question for Jet Webster.
What's that?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Hey, think hard about this. Think hard, Jet Webster.
Okay.
Should LSU hire Bob Stoops as head coach for the LSU Tigers, the SEC? Yes or no, and why?
Bob Stoops?
Yeah,
I don't think he'll.
Bob
coming out
Bob
of retirement.
I don't think so.
no, I don't think Bob Stoops will ever coach again. I think
Why?
I
So
think when
these
he left,
rumors are pretty much BS.
yeah, I think when he left coaching, he was like, that's it. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm done. It's part of my life. I'm done with it. I don't want to do it anymore. And I think he walked away from it. And I think he is, as a man, as an adult, as a human being, I think he's comfortable not being a head coach anymore. Because he hasn't been in coaching for, oh my God, what,
5 years.
10 years, a long time. It's been long enough that if he got the itch and wanted to do it again, he would have gone somewhere already.
Yeah.
I think he's just comfortable doing what he's doing. I mean, remember when Bill Cowher left the Steelers? You guys don't, you're too young to remember, but
I heard,
Sam will remember this, but Ballard and Jacob are probably too
I
young.
remember it.
Yeah, everybody
Never
thought,
heard
well,
of him, honestly.
Bill Cowher's going to go to the studio, and he's going to be one of those studio guys for about 2-3 years, and then next thing you know, he's going to be the new coach of the Redskins or the Giants or somebody like that, because he's a coach and that's what he does.
Yeah.
Yeah, but come to find out, Bill Cowher real comfortable not being a coach, And it might be the case with Bobby Stoops. He just might not want to coach anymore, and he's got all the money in the world. He doesn't need to. If he doesn't want to, he's not going to. And I just think he's one of those guys that he just doesn't want to just doesn't want to do it.
Yeah. Well, he is the intern just for this bowl game, but I think that's all he's going to coach. I don't think he's going to.
Yeah. I don't. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean. Well, I'm going to ask you this, Jeff, because I asked Ballard and Sam Bell this earlier. Do you think that Lincoln Riley going to USC is an upgrade or downgrade?
For who? It's a hell of an upgrade.
USC.
It's a hell of an upgrade for USC.
Oh,
It's a huge blow
Riley.
to Oklahoma.
No, I'm talking about Lincoln Riley is going to USC, an upgrade over Oklahoma or downgrade.
Oh, okay. For him.
Yeah.
Well, let me run a couple things by you. First of all, the University of Southern California is a private university. So if they don't want to tell you what they're paying their coach, you don't get to find out. Because it's not taxpayer dollars that are paying his salary. It's a private university. So if they don't want to tell you, they don't have to tell you. It's just like if you are the president of Hershey Chocolate. Hershey Chocolate doesn't have to tell you what they're paying their CEO, okay? But the rumors that are going around, and they apparently are pretty well placed, is that Lincoln Riley owned 2 homes in the Norman, Oklahoma area. USC bought both of them, each one for $500,000 more than they were listed on the market. In other words, they more or less just handed him $1 million bonus. That he's coming out to Los Angeles, where apparently they have bought him. No, not him. They bought him, given it to him, a $6 million home.
Wow.
And the other rumor going around is that they are making available for him and his immediate family members 365 days a year the use of a private G4 Lear jet for their own personal travel. Now, none of those things are confirmed, nor is it confirmed that he's getting $10.5 million a year. But if any of those things are true, I would have been if that had been me, I would have been out of Norman, Oklahoma so fast the suction would have pulled the trees out of the ground.
I don't blame him for leaving if that's all the case.
If they're letting him use his only
but I know what you're asking, Jacob. I know what you're asking. You're asking in pure football terms.
Yeah.
is being the USC coach better than being the Oklahoma coach? Here's why I would say yes, and I don't mean this as any disrespect to Oklahoma. But if you go to Southern California, 4 of the last 5 best high school quarterback recruits in the country all came from within 150 miles of downtown Los Angeles. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
3 of the last 10 best wide receivers in the country came from within 150 miles of downtown Los Angeles. You have all the recruiting talent in the world. You really only have Mario Cristobal and Oregon to worry about in your conference. You don't have to bang heads against LSU, Texas A&M, Alabama, Georgia. Your chances of being an immediate success are higher.
Yeah.
And have you ever been to Oklahoma? I mean,
Yeah.
there's no comparison between Los Angeles and Norman, Oklahoma. I mean,
Oklahoma's middle of nowhere.
right. And don't forget, we got the transfer portal. A month from now, we may find out that Caleb Williams and about 10 Oklahoma players jumped in the transfer portal and said, guess what? I think I'll go to USC next year.
Oh, that might happen.
Yeah, we don't, I mean, I'm not saying it will, but we don't know that it won't, you know.
Yeah.
I just think it's a better move. If you had to, if I had to write down on a sheet of paper what I think the 5 best football coaching jobs in America are, I think it's Alabama, and you can argue the order,
Okay.
but I think the 5 best coaching jobs are Alabama, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Texas, and USC. I think those are the 5 best coaching jobs in America. Texas, USC, Ohio State, Notre Dame, and Alabama. I think those are the 5, all things considered. The only thing that I would think would hold you back at USC is the popular. You might have the administration behind you, and that was not the case with Sarkisian. It was not the case with Kiffin. It was not the case with Orgeron. It was not the case with Clay Helton. The football coaches have not had tremendous support from the school itself at USC, and that's a problem. If that's changed, that'll help. But the Los Angeles metropolitan area is larger than the Chicago metropolitan area. It's the 2nd largest metropolitan area in the United States, and they can't fill 80,000 people at the Memorial Coliseum. You should USC. You should have to pull out your lightsaber and duel to the death in the parking lot to get tickets to go to a USC game. That's how hard it should be. Instead, they practically give them away because nobody's there. I mean, you've got to make the people care again. When I was growing up, when I was a boy, dun 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 dun. The USC fight song was everywhere. Late 70s, mid 80s, USC was a destination school. You couldn't get a ticket to the football games if you wanted to.
Yep.
It was a capital D destination program, and then it disappeared. And Pete Carroll brought it back a little bit in the early 2000s, and then it disappeared again. And there's so much going on out there. You got the Lakers, you got the Dodgers, you got the Clippers, you got the Kings, you got the LA football soccer team. You got fabulous women half naked running around on the street. You got the mountains. The mountains are an hour away. The beach is 10 minutes away. It rains 5 days out of the year. I mean, it's Hollywood. It's, football is like.
Good boy, son.
Football is like nowhere near a priority in Los Angeles. But if you make it one, But if you can make it one, you are the Lord of all you all you look over. You know, if you can be that dude. And maybe Lincoln Riley wants to go out there and try to be that dude because like I just checked the chat here. Like LW says, he can run the Pac-12 if he can keep those 5-star. Yeah, I mean, dung 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 dung. Bryce Ice Baby, Bryce Young, right there, played right there, Pasadena, right next door. All this talent, Tua Tagovailoa, right next door to Los Angeles. All this amazing talent in Southern California. He doesn't have to keep them all at home. He just has to keep a tiny, small bit of them at home. If he does that, USC could take off and take off quick.
Well, I think another thing is that I think he got tired of not being able to recruit good players on the defense.
Well, yeah. Where do you think JT Daniels come from?
California.
Yeah. Where was he playing?
Mater.
Yeah. What was his school?
Georgia. Oh,
yeah,
no,
but where was it before he transferred?
USC, then Georgia.
USC.
Yeah, USC. Yeah. I see what I'm saying? You know?
And DJ went to St. John Bosco.
Yeah. Yeah. Right there. I mean, DJ was playing Bryce Young in high school.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
I mean, so, there's a world of talent right there. And he doesn't have to get all of them, just a few of them,
Yeah, well, they got a lot of talent there. I'd say more than any other state.
Oh, yeah. I think it's the honey hole. It's now maybe it's not where you go get the guy who's going to take the bulldozer and drive through the middle of the defense and run block for you. You go to the upper Midwest to get those big hosses.
Hey, where's Dwayne RTR been, man?
The playmakers are there.
Yeah, but you're running around. Yeah, but you're running around faster than you can ride your bike down the street, dudes. Those are Southern California.
Yeah.
Offensive line better step out. Yeah, they're better. We just don't have the talent.
Alabama has they have some future stars in the making, but I don't think it's their year this year.
No, I mean,
I mean, we don't have the talent to win a championship. We don't have the coaching, really. I mean, we just don't have it.
You have
we have the talent. It's just not. It's not experienced. It's not experienced or ready yet.
Yeah,
and it's not playing. It's not playing unified. It's not playing as a cohesive unit enough. When it has played as a cohesive unit, when they have played together, you get the result. You get the results of being in the third quarter and beating Ole Miss 35-0. You get 49-9 over Mike Leach's air raid offense at Mississippi State. When they're playing together, you get the final drive against Auburn. When they're not, you get Texas A&M and LSU and Arkansas.
Right.
Well, I mean,
and if they don't, and if they don't come out and play like they did the last 3 minutes against Auburn or like they did against Ole Miss, Georgia's going to blow them off the field.
Yeah. Well.
And
the concern that I have if I'm Georgia is that if I do get the good Alabama, if the good Alabama shows up, is the good Alabama good enough to beat the good Georgia? Yes.
Wow.
Is the good Baylor good enough to beat Georgia? No. Is the good Oklahoma State good enough to beat Georgia? No. Is the good Michigan State good enough to beat Georgia? No. But the good Alabama, the good Ohio State,
Good Michigan.
maybe the good Michigan, they are good enough to beat Georgia.
You know,
Again,
and
if they're playing at their best.
Yeah. I mean, Val,
I'll
you
get to
can't say
my.
that. You can't say that they don't have talent. I mean, they've had top two recruiting
I
classes.
know that they do. I still think we need to let O'Brien go. And Doug Marone, I don't think the coaching is very.
Well, you hired
I
a bunch
just
of
don't think
NFL
it's right.
coaches.
And if I'll go ahead, screw it. I'll go ahead and spoil it for you guys. I'm still going to get a preview video out for the SEC title. I think it's going to be a very, very big defensive game. I already got a score. I do think Georgia's going to win it. But hear me out on this score 14-10.
I don't know if it's going to be that close, honestly.
You could
Close or that low, Jacob?
It could be that close, but I think Georgia would win by more.
You could have I could see an over under of 30 points. I mean, I could see 17-9.
That's a combined
I could see
score of 24.
17-9, 16-7, something like that. I could see it being low scoring because I can see Kirby getting up by more than a touchdown and then saying, I'm going to do nothing to risk this. I'm just going to try to run the clock out and keep the ball on the ground and eat clock. I could see that happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, Alabama's run defense has gotten a lot better over the season.
It's number 5 in the country.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. You allowed 246 yards to Florida. I'm saying y'all improved from that.
Yeah, we allowed 63 to Auburn.
Yeah. Although Alabama themselves is having trouble running the ball, but they can at least stop running.
Well, here's the problem Alabama is going to have. Never mind the offensive line. 4 of the 5 running backs that are on scholarship are not available. Kamar Wheaton, the freshman, 5-star, number 3 running back in the country, freshman, hasn't played a snap this season. He got hurt in the spring, and he's missed the entire year. Robinson's got a bad hamstring. He's not going to play Saturday.
What?
Roydell Williams is gone for the season. Chase McClellan is gone for the season. Trey Sanders is lucky he didn't lose his leg in a car accident. He's not the same player he was when Georgia's talking about, oh, we got all these injuries. They're not hurt anywhere near like Alabama's running back room is.
Yeah, well, Alabama, Trey Sanders provides some explosiveness in the Auburn game for Alabama because Brian Robinson's he's good. He wasn't the right fit.
He's been the key for our offense.
Right. Well,
the good thing the thing that makes me relax a little bit as an Alabama fan, if relax is the right word, is that I know who's in the red shirt room and I know who's coming in. And our running backs are going to be monsters the next couple of years, and so is our offensive line. It's just not ready yet. It's just kind of, we're just going to have to survive this year and know that the ingredients are there. The cake is in the oven. It's just not ready to eat yet.
It's like you're cooking something, but you have to take it out 5 minutes early.
Right. We just got to sit back and And what I think what Coach Saban is trying to say is he's trying to tell the fans, quit opening the oven door and checking it on it, because every time you do, you're letting the heat out and it's taking longer to cook the cake. If the recipe says you cook it for 45 minutes, you cook it for 45 minutes. Quit checking it at 35, 38, 42, and letting all the heat out every time you open the door.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm guilty of it. Jeff, I'm guilty of it.
Well, yeah.
Well, yeah, it's hard. As a Bama fan, it's hard not to say, why didn't we beat Auburn by 25 points? It's hard. Yeah, it's hard not to. And I think what
Look
Saban's
into the
trying to say,
actual
I think
in
what Saban's
reality.
trying to say
Yeah.
is we don't have the team. This team is not the team who can do that. I think that's what he's trying to say without publicly saying it like that, because that would embarrass the team. But I think what he's trying to say is, you're asking us to be 2017, 2015, 2020, and we're not.
Right. Not anywhere
Yeah,
close.
well, I mean that was Turner for Alabama. He looks like he's gonna be a future top 10 pick.
Yeah, Dallas Turner has looked good. Will Anderson is a monster.
Yeah.
Christian Harris has played good, and don't forget, we've missed Christopher Allen for almost the entire season.
And Ja'Cory Brooks, the guy who caught the touchdown pass, he looks like he's gonna be a star in the future.
Yeah, it's just
Well, they're picking up.
My
They're
opinion
showing
of
off.
Alabama going into Saturday's game is no different than it was on my birthday, which is the last week of June. We're an 11-1 team that's got the talent to win it all if everything goes right, because there's still a lot of talent there. It's just not ready yet.
Yeah, Georgia's talent is ready.
Right, yeah. All the stars are lined up for Georgia. If Georgia doesn't win the Natty this year, it'll be
They're never going.
a choke job of biblical proportions.
Yeah,
I mean, everything is lined up for. If they don't win it now, they've got nobody to blame but themselves.
yeah, it's Georgia's natty to lose.
And you know what else? They'll never win one because this is it. I mean, Kirby's still there. He's still a great recruiter, but man, if you don't win it with the talent you got now, come on.
I mean,
That's crazy.
Look, all the stars lined up perfectly for LSU in 2019. All the stars lined up perfectly for Alabama in 2020. All the stars are lined up perfectly for Georgia in 2021. When that happens, when everything falls into place and you're the lucky team that has all this go your way, all you've got to do is not drop the bomb on your own foot. Don't beat yourself.
Yeah.
And it'll take care of itself. And that's the situation that Georgia. That's why I'm thinking the Georgia fans need to cool it, giving Kirby shit about JT and Stetson. Kirby knows he's got the best team in the country. What he's trying to do is make sure that he doesn't do anything, like you're watching a Bugs Bunny Roadrunner cartoon. He's just trying not to drop the anvil on his own toe,
Well, I think another thing this year, I just think that there's a lot of teams that are down this year. Oklahoma, Clemson's down, Alabama's a little bit down. Seems like Oklahoma's a little bit down. Seems just a lot of teams are down right now.
Right, at the same time that Georgia's up.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean. That's part of what I mean by all the stars are lined up. I mean, everything is in place for you. You're hot when everybody else is just a little bit off. So now it's up to you to cash it in.
Yeah, well, if we don't win it this year, I'm going to be pretty upset because I just
Yeah, see, because like I said, my opinion on Bama hasn't changed now than it was since June. Do they have the talent? Is the coaching there? Are the players good enough to win a national championship? Yes, but they're not ready yet, and other teams have risen up while we've taken a step back. That's okay. That happens. I mean, we didn't win it in 13. We didn't win it in 14. We didn't win it in 18. We didn't win it in 19. It can't happen every year.
Yeah, no team wins it every year.
It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
And going undefeated is even more difficult.
Oh, yeah.
That just doesn't happen. You got to have a lot of things go right to go undefeated. I mean, and I said this the other night. I get. I think I was on Trench's podcast or Trench's show the other night when I said, I'm nervous. I was nervous all the time the years that Bama won the Natty because you never know what can happen. Did I expect Alabama to commit 5 turnovers and lose at home to Ole Miss in 2015? No, but it happened. Did who would have thought Alabama was going to miss 5 field goals and lose to LSU? It happened.
Yeah.
Who would have thought Georgia was going to lose a homecoming game to 3-win South Carolina? It happened. Who would have thought Tennessee was going to lose to BYU? It happened. Who would have thought Troy
Beat LSU.
was going to go to Baton Rouge and beat LSU? Right.
Yeah.
Dumb things sometimes happen, and you just don't know. And so that's what's irritating me about some of the Georgia fan base, because they're acting like the cake has already been served. Not yet, my friend. Hang on. Anything can happen. Dumb things happen all the time.
Yeah. I mean, it's gonna.
And if you're a fan of that great team, you spend the whole time praying. Please God, don't let it be us today.
Yeah, if Georgia doesn't win the Natty, it's Georgia. It's going to be Georgia's fault.
Yeah, it's going to take something like a meteor hitting the Earth. But you know what? Meteors have hit the Earth. So, you just hope it doesn't happen while it's on your watch,
Yeah. Well, I wonder if you think Lincoln Riley's going to win a Natty at USC. I kind of think he will.
I think USC, with the recruiting and everything, if you think about it, they're not in a bad position where he doesn't have a legitimate shot.
Well,
I mean, it's not going to be instantaneous, but
take a couple
years down the road, once he gets, because the man can coach, we know that, and we know he can recruit because he got great recruits to come to Norman, Oklahoma.
Yeah,
a whole lot easier if you're a great recruiter if you're a great recruiter and you can convince kids to come and play for you, and you're doing that in the middle of Oklahoma, you got to think it's easier to have those kids agree to come and play for you in Los Angeles, right? I mean,
that might happen, but
right, because you've already proven that you can attract people to your style of coaching, that they want to come and play for you. And now you're going to throw in the bonus of come play for me here as opposed to here.
I mean,
so
that instant eligibility, so I mean, you can do that. Bring your players over.
Oh, and how about this? Let's say you're a hot shot running back, okay? And now you got NIL. You got name, image, and likeness, okay? And you go to Athens, Georgia, and the local car dealer says, "Hey, I'd like to pay you $20,000 a year to be in our TV commercials." And you're like, "Yeah." In Los Angeles, that's $100,000. I mean, the NIL money will be so much bigger in LA than it is in Tuscaloosa, in Gainesville, in Athens, in Clemson.
Now, is it really true that USC is paying Lincoln Riley $12 million a year? Because that seems like a lot.
I hadn't heard that, but I mean,
Yeah.
we don't know. We don't know.
Yeah, that's what I've been hearing. That's $4 more million than Nick Saban is making. So.
Well, these coaching contracts, they get, if you're getting paid A, if A fill in the blank is your salary, then you're also getting an additional check for your TV shows, an additional check for your radio shows. You're getting a check from the shoe company. You're getting a check from making public appearances. You're getting a check from doing commercials for Aflac. You're getting a, you know what I mean? You got all this other stuff coming in too. You know, you're not just making what the school is paying. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, how much money do you think Nick Saban's getting paid by Aflac? I mean, you know,
Yeah.
so he's got to spend, you know, what's he do? He spends 2-3 days wearing a blue jacket and getting his, reading a script or whatever. And, he cuts a year's worth of commercials in 48 hours, and he gets paid, I don't know, $500,000, whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not a bad gig, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
I got a quick question. So, what's up with, like, I hear all these candidates for all these schools this week.
yeah.
Jeff, what's up with Matt Campbell? He's not going anywhere, is he?
Well, he is, I think, but
Yeah, I think he's gone. I think he's gone. It's just a matter of where.
I've mostly heard Oklahoma.
I don't want to see him go, but if he goes to Notre Dame, I would be happy. I'd be happy for him. I'd be happy for his family. I'd be happy for Notre Dame. 'Cause if I wasn't an Alabama student,
SEC
if I didn't
pressure
have
cooker.
if I didn't have any connections at all to the University of Alabama, if they were just another school like Stanford, I have zero connections to Stanford. I have no reason to root for them. I don't know anybody that ever went there. Blah 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 blah. If that was the case for me, then Notre Dame would have been the school that I would be a fan of. So it would, I would be happy to see Matt end up in South Bend. I don't know that that's what's going to happen.
Right.
All I know is that if he leaves Ames, he's not going to someplace lesser.
okay, I think
That's not going to happen. He's not going to take a step down
I think this
or have to settle for something less. It's going to be more. It's going to be more money, more visibility, a bigger name. I know that will be the case. It's just a matter of where. But I do think he's gone. I think after I saw how he was acting and what he said Friday against TCU on senior day, I think it was his way. I think he knows he's gone. He acted like a man who was coaching his last game in Ames. I think he's gone.
Yeah. I can't tell if this is real or not, but there's this picture of supposedly an email from Brian Kelly talking about leaving Notre Dame. I don't know if this is real or not, but I've seen it on some verified accounts. It didn't say he was anything about LSU. It just said he's leaving Notre Dame and all that.
That's just
I have a feeling.
just a real surprise for me. It was really, really surprising that he would. I don't know. I just can't. I mean, I'm not saying that it's not going to happen. I mean, I don't think we have. Has there been? I haven't looked. Has there been an official announcement I mean, I'm watching Monday Night
For
Football.
Kelly?
There's no official announcement for Brian Kelly on anything.
Yes,
Right.
there is.
I'm watching
Yes,
Monday
there
Night
is.
Football. I'm watching Monday Night Football right now with the mute button on.
Yeah.
And there hasn't been one thing go across the scroll saying breaking news, Brian Kelly is new head coach. There hasn't been anything.
Yeah. All it said is rumored Brian Kelly this. And it's
Yes,
hard for
yes.
me.
Hold on. 45 minutes ago, Bleacher Report put something out. Notre Dame's Brian Kelly to be hired by LSU, contract worth more than $100 million.
Well, see, I usually would believe it, but it's hard to believe anything related to LSU about coaching because we heard Lincoln Riley, Jimbo Fisher, Lane Kiffin, so it's hard to believe anything about LSU.
Even with the numbers, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to believe anything. So I need to
Well,
see it official.
also don't forget. Don't forget this is another thing that and never mind Brian Kelly. I don't care. Let's change Brian Kelly's name to Bozo the Clown. Okay? Bozo the Clown has been hired by LSU to be the new head football coach. But you know what? LSU still hasn't gotten rid of the sex scandals. There's still all sorts of shit the NCAA's floating around looking at in Baton Rouge. I mean, you know what I mean? They're
Yeah.
not free and clear yet. So, anybody, Bozo or Brian Kelly or Ronald McDonald, whoever takes that job, he's got to think about what happens if the bomb goes off.
Yeah, if Brian Kelly,
Even though I'm not in trouble over it, I might have to deal with the repercussions.
if Brian Kelly is actually going to LSU and leaving Notre Dame for LSU, who's in a dumpster fire spot right now, he's gonna regret it for the rest of his career. I mean, I just it's not, and I know it's not official and all that, but if he's really leaving Notre Dame for LSU, then I have no words.
All I can say is, and trust me, this is completely coming from a biased opinion. So I mean, my opinion is very flavored by my own personal history and my own personal bias.
Okay.
But if I was the Notre Dame coach and I was winning 10 or 11 games a year and I was going to the playoffs every 2 or 3 years, I'd make the playoffs. And when I didn't make the playoffs, I was playing in a fat bowl game. And nobody was coming after me. Nobody was saying we got to get rid of Coach Webster. Why the hell would I leave there?
Yeah. I don't understand. The only thing I can think of is maybe he's just upset that he can't win the big games or something with him not joining or Notre Dame not joining a conference. I don't know, but for LSU it just seems weird. I don't know.
Yeah,
That's a downgrade.
I just can't, for the life of me, I can't see, because he's not being. I mean, none of these reports are saying he's being shoved out of South Bend, right? Nobody's saying.
Nobody. No, he's leaving on his own will. Apparently,
Right. This is a. I've chosen like Lincoln Riley. Oklahoma didn't show him the door; he left.
Yeah. If Oklahoma were to show up the door, that.
Right. So that's what I mean. I mean, if you're at Notre Dame, you're at Texas, you're at Alabama, you're at Ohio State, you're at USC. In my book, and in my opinion, and you can argue with it because it's just an opinion, but in my opinion, those are jobs, unless somebody is hunting your ass and wants your head mounted on the wall. If you're doing enough to please the alumni and please the fan base and you're having success, I can't imagine leaving there because you wouldn't go someplace, you wouldn't be able to go someplace where it would be better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Maybe he just thinks that going to LSU he can win a national title. Maybe he wants that. I don't know.
Right. That's the argument I'm trying to make against these people that think Dabo's coming to Bama when Saban retired. Dabo is the king of the universe in Clemson. Okay, nobody is hunting for Dabo
I don't even
Swinney's
want.
hide.
Hey, after this season he's had, hell no, I don't want him.
Yeah.
They can
Oh,
keep that.
but what I'm saying is, if you're Dabo, why take the Alabama job? You're the king of all you survey at Clemson, and nobody's asking for your hide. So you're fat and comfortable and making more money than you ever thought you would make, and your grandchildren's grandchildren are set up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Why would you possibly leave? Well, like, Kirby's got his coaching roots are in Tuscaloosa. Maybe he takes over when Nick leaves. Kirby's not leaving Athens. That's his dream job.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Kirby wouldn't leave Georgia for Alabama.
no, yeah. I mean, it sounds sexy and it gets everybody excited and gives them something to talk about, but it's nonsense.
When people talk about candidates to replace Saban, one name that I've heard quite a bit is Mario Cristobal.
That's the name I keep. That's the
Honestly,
name,
that wouldn't be too bad of a hire after Saban.
Ballard.
I mean, you're not going to find anyone to fill his shoes.
How many?
That's the name Ballard in 2018 when we got blown out by Clemson in the national championship.
Yeah.
And I exchanged 2 or 3 emails with the late great Cecil Hurt.
Oh.
And that was the name Cecil told me he always heard around campus. That
wow.
When the time came, Mario and Dabo were the 2 names that were being bantered around. If Nick retired, that it would be one of those 2 guys that Alabama would try to go and get. Now, I think they might try to go get Dabo, but I don't think they'll get him. Mario might be interested in coming to Tuscaloosa. Who knows?
I love Mario. I would love a guy like that.
But think about this now. Think about this. Think of how you got the facilities, you got the money, you got the backing of the fan base, you got the backing of the university, you got everything going for you if you're the head coach at Alabama, except you're the guy after Nick Saban.
Yeah.
Do you want to be that guy?
Yeah, because if you're the guy after Nick Saban, likely going to have the same expectations.
And let's not forget, too, Mario Cristobal.
If you're the guy after Nick Saban, you better win one within 3 or 4 years, or the spoiled ass fans are going to come after you.
Yeah. How many more seconds is it going to be till Slim Shady talks about Mario Cristobal coming to Miami?
Is Slim in the comment section?
No, I'm just joking around because that's all he talks about. Mario Cristobal's coming to Miami.
Yeah, but he's not. He's not. Mario Cristobal will never take the Miami job.
Yeah, he won't.
Here's what Slim doesn't understand. Miami is in Dade County, University of Miami, Coral Gables. Miami is a ghetto. It's a slum. It's economically depressed. It's ridden with crime. It's ghetto thug, rapper thug.
It's the hood, basically. Just say the hood.
Subculture thug, primitive culture thug. It's a fucking hellhole. People want to get the hell out of there. That's why Amari Cooper and Julio Jones and Patrick Surtain got the hell out of there and went to Tuscaloosa. They don't want to go to Miami. The talent that's down there wants to get the hell out of there. And the talent that could be attracted there doesn't want to end up there. It's not a choice destination. It's a shithole.
Right. And it's not even about the school. Like you're saying, it's just the area, really.
Yeah. Nobody wants to
you got to think it goes beyond the campus and the football field for these players. I mean, they have lives like us. They walk the
Yeah.
streets. They
And
drive
I'm just gonna
around.
be
They
honest. I
go
think
eat.
him saying that Mario Cristobal is gonna go to Miami, I think that's just him being a homer, wanting to have a good head coach. I don't
Right.
really think he really truly
It- but-
thinks that he's gonna go to Miami.
right.
I mean, because if Mario Cristobal were to go to Miami, it'd be the biggest downgrade maybe ever. I mean,
Oh God, Dwayne! I don't know if it's. Come on,
Notre Dame
Notre
maybe.
Dame may be in the
Oh,
position
come
Tennessee
on.
was.
See, that's just.
Notre Dame what?
He said Notre Dame's in the same position as Tennessee now. That's just
Tennessee
crazy.
finally found their coach. I'm gonna what?
Notre Dame is not
I'm
even.
having a hard time
Notre
understanding
Dame's
this,
not
Dwayne.
close to the position Tennessee's in. They're way above Tennessee. No. Notre Dame's going to get a good. If Brian Kelly is actually leaving, and this 15,123rd LSU rumor is true, then they're going to get a good head coach to replace him. That's just what's going to
They
happen.
could, dude. I think Notre Dame's a good spot to the point they could get some kid off the street ain't nobody ever heard of. I still think maybe not 10 wins, but they're still hitting bowl games every year. I mean, there's talent there. There's a lot. I mean, it's a
Notre
great
Dame's in a
program. They
position where
are
it's like
far from, with or without Brian Kelly, they are far from being a dumpster
it's
fire
hard
or
to
close to it.
it's hard to lead Notre Dame to it. Like Notre Dame's pretty much always going to be good, and it's hard to believe that they'll ever be bad. It's also hard to believe that they'll ever win a national title again.
Right.
They just they're not the same.
Compete for one? Yes.
They're not
Win one?
the same
No.
as the top tier teams. It's hard to believe, and maybe that's why he's leaving. And if he is leaving for that reason, maybe fine. That might be a good reason. But LSU, see that's the problem.
Now
But-
let's change the subject here. I got to talk with you about this. Michigan and Harbaugh finally beat Ohio State. What do you have to say about that, sir? That's one of the 4 playoff teams upcoming. Watch out.
Jim Harbaugh, yeah, he's a good coach.
He's done it.
He's a
He's
great
done it
coach.
finally.
He's a great coach. Michigan still has to beat Iowa, who has a great defense, but they're likely to make the national title if Georgia beats Alabama. That's what I'm gonna say.
I think I would take the 2 teams I would take right now. I think
it's gonna be
Georgia and
Michigan.
I think Georgia and Michigan could be our natty.
I think
this year.
I think it's likely now in this scenario as long as Georgia beats Alabama, which that's also likely. I think it's likely now that Michigan makes the national title. Now, winning it, that's a stretch. But making it, I think they're going to do it. I mean, they're likely to play
you got to
Cincy.
think too.
Because if Cincinnati wins, they're the 3 seed. Michigan will play them. Hard to believe that you're going to tell me that Cincinnati's going to beat Michigan.
Unless
but
you know what they might do, and don't call me too crazy on this, but and it doesn't matter. But yes, I think 2 and 3. I mean, you could put Cincinnati at 2. I think if Michigan wins the Big Ten next week or this week, they'll be playing potentially Cincinnati in the bowl game unless Cincinnati drops.
Well, here's what I think's going to happen. I think, and this isn't starting anything, and I'm not trying to. I think Georgia's going to beat Alabama, so Georgia will be 1.
Okay.
Michigan,
I agree.
I think Michigan will beat Iowa. They'll be 2. I think Cincy's going to beat Houston. I think they'll be 3. I think Oklahoma State will beat Baylor. They'll be 4. Notre Dame is on the outside looking in. They need one of the. They need either Oklahoma State, Michigan, or Cincinnati to lose. They need that, and they need Georgia to beat Alabama. If Alabama beats Georgia, they're not getting in. So they need Georgia to beat Alabama, and they need Oklahoma State, Cincinnati, or Michigan to lose. And that might happen, but that's what they need. And overall, that's their fault for not joining a conference. And if Notre Dame were to play Cincinnati tomorrow, I'd probably pick Notre Dame in a rematch. But they lost to Cincinnati. They put themselves in a tough position. They're not in a conference. So they need Oklahoma State, Michigan, or Cincinnati to lose. And I think it's most likely to be Oklahoma State because Baylor's serious.
Let's tell you what we'll do because I kind of want to get a preview out for at least each of the Power Five championships. But I don't know. I've kind of enjoyed like
On to some
taking
top
clips or whatever, talk
LW
about it.
said
So let's actually. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
LW said Notre Dame's wide receiver's the main problem. I think the main problem for Notre Dame is they haven't been able to get that star quarterback there. That's the problem for Notre Dame. And they just don't have the same athletes as the top tier teams. They have the fundamentals and all that. They just in coaching, but that's the problem with Notre Dame. All right, what were we gonna say, Ballard?
Oh, I was just gonna say we could like actually look at this Michigan Iowa game, like stats and everything.
Why don't
and
we
we
pick
can
all
talk
the games?
about it. What'd you say?
Why don't we pick all the games? It's only like 10. Why don't we pick all of them?
Yeah, we can. I'll start with this one just so because I've been like talking with people this
And
week
maybe
and
we
like
should skip Georgia, Alabama because that's been the conversation.
yeah, I'm gonna wait. I'm
Let's
gonna wait to get that
skip
later
Georgia,
on.
Alabama. But I want to talk about the other games. I'm
Let's
tired
start.
tired of talking about
Yeah.
Georgia, Alabama. Did I interrupt you?
Oh no, you're fine, man.
Okay. Well, all right. Go on. I mean, you can.
So I want to look at the Big Ten first.
Big Ten is.
Let me get
And
these notes.
and by the way, Michigan. How about Wisconsin losing, putting Iowa in the Big Ten title? All they had to do was beat Minnesota, and they couldn't do it. Minnesota. So Wisconsin was supposed to make the Big Ten title, and and you see this every week. It's Iowa win, Wisconsin loss. It never happens,
It's never like consistent with those teams.
and it never
It's
happens.
like they don't
But
correspond.
but this time it did happen.
Yeah.
Iowa needed Wisconsin to lose. They needed to win. Iowa beat Nebraska. They needed Wisconsin to lose. Wisconsin lost.
Yeah.
And Wisconsin was the counterpart to Michigan's run game. Because Wisconsin is the number one ranked run defense in the country. So,
I could agree. So, looking
that's-
at the Big Ten championship game here, you got Michigan 11-1. They're 8-1 in conference play. Iowa kind of came out of nowhere this year, honestly. I mean, they were a top 5 team for quite some time. They're 10-2. I still think it's a pretty good season for them. It might not have been what they expected or hoped for because of how it started out. I mean, they were on like a 7 or 8 game win streak, and then they took 2 straight back-to-back losses. I think them and Georgia, even still this year, I would say. Now, I'll say this, even though they've won these games, the defense has kind of been slacking lately, but I would still say, at least for most of the season, them and Georgia, and I mean, it's not even close that Georgia has the best defense, but I'd say Iowa's not too far behind.
no, everybody's behind Georgia by a lot.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I just mean like I would probably put them second or third.
Oh, yeah.
But there's a big space between 1
honestly,
and even 2 and 3.
Yeah. I might put Wisconsin second, to be honest. Their
Okay.
defense. Their defense is really good.
What do you see in this game though? Like if there's anything at all, without saying like there's nothing they can do, what is something Iowa could do to Michigan that could mess them up in this game?
Well, Iowa's pass defense is really good. Their run defense has been slacking a little bit though, which that you can't do that against Michigan. Can't slack on run
That's
defense.
true.
But they just their front seven is whoops. Their their DBs is their strong suit of their defense. So
Oh, for sure.
So I think they're back in. So if they hold Michigan to some non-big plays, I think not too many big plays. I think they're going to need some turnovers, like they got at the beginning of the year when they were ranked number 2 and all that. they can win. And Michigan's run defense, that's the weakness of their defense.
Right.
Iowa, if they can run it with Tyler Goodson, and Iowa's not some explosive run game, but they can't really pass the ball to save their life. So it's like it's all they have.
And that's the key issue. And they can't. I mean, not that they're bad at running the ball, but I'll tell you something. I still wouldn't. I wouldn't sleep on the defense of Michigan because they got a couple guys out there up front. Aiden Hutchinson is one of the top edge
Oh,
rushers in the draft.
Michigan's good at pass rush. Their run defense.
For sure. But that's what I'm saying though. I mean, you say run defense, but you imagine they're going to pressure the quarterback in Sean Petrus, and they're going to get in his face. But also, those guys still, if they're coming off the edge and everything, Iowa has had good offensive linemen in years past. I haven't seen it be all that good this year. I really think this isn't even close. I think Michigan's front seven is going to just get up in the quarterback's face, and I really think that they're going to lay it on.
Well, here's the problem here. Michigan's strengths on defense is the pass rush and pass defense. Weakness is the run defense.
Yeah.
How many times is Iowa really going to pass the ball? I mean, they're probably not a lot.
Yeah.
So, and I think Michigan, they'll probably win this game. I say 35 to 13.
35 to 13.
Yeah.
The line is 43.5 over under. I think that's pretty reasonable. 10.5.
Well,
I mean,
the over under is 43.
43.5. The spread is 10.5 Michigan.
Okay, that's way too low.
For which one?
The over under. Michigan's going to be able to. They're acting like Michigan's not going to score.
I'll be honest. I wouldn't put it higher than 50, but I'd at least make it at a minimum somewhere between the 45 and 50 for the over.
So everybody's watching that over under. That's an instant over. You have money and all that.
Oh, for sure.
You need to go.
Now, would you take? And I might have just heard you say this, but would you take the 10.5 on Michigan? Are you laying the points?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Iowa just doesn't have enough offense.
I'll go ahead and give my final score prediction. I mean, Iowa's going to have some good defense, and I think they could at least hold Michigan. I think Michigan. I'll give Iowa, just to be nice, I'll give them 2 touchdowns, but Michigan's going to win this one. I think it's low scoring in a way. 29-14, something like that, maybe.
Okay.
Maybe 28.
Maybe something.
That's fair.
Yeah. Where you get the 29 from? Why 29?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe a weird field goal or missed extra point. I don't know. I just picked a score, but I see them under 30, and I see Iowa just struggling against some guys against Michigan. And just in general, I mean, whether they're facing decent defense or anything, they just really don't have much on offense. They have been defensive led, and I said that. I said early on in the year when they were still undefeated, they were like 5-0 or whatever it was, and I said Iowa's looking really, really good. Their defense is incredible, but until they face a team like a Michigan or whoever down the road, I mean, you saw it with Wisconsin. When they face an offense, not necessarily that they can't defend.
No. Wisconsin's offense is nothing.
Trust me. I know. I was just throwing team names out there. I don't know. But what I said, when they face an offense that they have to defend, I'm not going to doubt that they can't defend them. But you're going to eventually, Iowa, face an offense that can put some points up, and you won't be able to answer when your quarterback and your struggling offense are out on the field, because you can have a great defense.
Yeah.
But if you can't, you don't have to shut a team out. But if you are going to give up points, you better have an offense to back it up.
Excuse me, Bob, but I'm going to go use the bathroom real quick. I'll be back.
Yeah, I got you, man. But I'm gonna stick to Michigan 29-14. I think maybe Iowa. I'll be nice. I don't like to predict shutouts or anything. I'll give Iowa 2 touchdowns. I still think they're going to have a good defensive game, but I think Michigan and Jim Harbaugh are having a heck of a season. They beat Ohio State finally. It's time for them to win the Big Ten altogether, and I think they'll do it over Iowa. Anyway, LW says 26-17. That's actually not a bad score. Well, like I said, I mean, there's some issues with the Iowa offense. I mean, you saw these stats. I mean, they're only getting 25 points a game. I don't remember the last time I saw a team ranked or with the caliber or potential or any, like, I don't remember the last time I actually saw a team with an offense that low in scoring that people were talking about. I mean, people have been talking about Iowa all season long. You know, I don't know where they were in the preseason ranks, whether they were or not, but they got off to a heck of a start. And they've won their last 4 games, right? But they've been really low and they've been really, really close. They only scored 33 on Illinois. They beat Northwestern 17-12. They beat Nebraska 28-21. Oh, those teams got good defenses. Some of them, I don't know. They're 1 yard short of 300 yards on the year.
Okay, what game we talking about now?
I was just closing up on Michigan and Iowa. That's all.
Yeah, let's move on to Cincinnati versus Houston.
Haunt Crew says Michigan 42, Iowa 10.
That
shocker blowout.
That might be the case. A shock.
I don't know about 42, but
42,
maybe the offense is a little better for Michigan. That maybe they get something like 35.
I don't know about 42. That seems a little bit too much, but
yeah,
I think we need to. I'd like to move on to Cincinnati versus Houston.
That'll be good. Hey, Brian, who's Haunt Crew, if you want to come in here, buddy, you can.
Yeah, but
Cincinnati and Houston.
Yeah, and this was everyone was picking this as an upset for Houston to beat Cincinnati a couple of weeks ago. Well, Cincy has looked really good since then. They destroyed SMU. Now people are kind of taking that back. I was one of those people. I said Houston would beat Cincinnati a couple of weeks ago. Do I still stand by it? No. But it seems like Houston, and I think one advantage they have, I think they have the better athletes. I think the players are faster, a little bit stronger, all that. I think Cincinnati has a coaching advantage, technique advantage. I think they're a better football team, and I think they're going to win.
Let me add my boy, Ugga Boy, in here. What's up, buddy?
What's up? How's it going?
Not much.
Go Dogs.
Doing good.
Go Dogs. That's right. It's gonna be a heck of a game this Saturday, man. I can't talk a lot of crap, guys, because Ballard knows me, man. Every time I talk crap, especially about us beating Alabama, it always backfires. So no, you will not get it from me this weekend.
Well, yeah, I kind of want to analyze the game more than talk crap. I probably am gonna release a video on my channel talking crap, but I do want to analyze the game a little bit more because it's just, it just, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'll be a good game. I mean, I just want Georgia to show me they can beat Alabama because we all know, I mean, regardless of what year it is or anything, that Nick Saban and Alabama are really tough to beat regardless. And 1 week they can look like crap and you could say they don't play defense. And then the next freaking week they come out and they lay 40 on you and you're lucky to score 10.
Teams have found out the way to stop Alabama's offense, though. Alabama's offense used to be one of the best in the country. Teams have found out how to stop that. Just blitz Bryce Young. And it does have a little bit to do. I do think Bryce Young's he's a little bit scared, I guess you could say, but I think it's mostly the offensive line. I mean, come on now.
It is.
The way they block.
And again, it's not so much a lack of talent as it is we just need a new line coach.
I think he too much under pressure.
Well, he's the kind of type that doesn't want to just when he runs, he wants to stop and throw it. And that's not knocking
Right.
him. It's just he's not that Jalen Hurts that, like that pull down, committed,
true
all wanting to
right.
run.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That true.
and then
true
Alabama's,
dual threat.
and then when he throws it, Alabama's receivers go ahead and drop it. I mean the receivers for Alabama are good at everything else. Are just they
And
can't
see,
catch.
I think that's where Bryce Young's going to be in trouble come this Saturday if that does happen because, it's been proven. I mean, look at the Kentucky quarterback. I can't remember his name, but
Will
and
Levis.
quarterbacks that was the quarterbacks that ran against Georgia, it looked like Georgia would be there, but then once they run, they can get a chunk of yardage. I mean, heck, I think there was one drive there. No, granted, it was Charleston Southern, but I think there was one drive there where they actually crossed the 50 one time because the quarterback scrambled. So my point is, if Bryce Young can scramble and get out, that would probably be the only time he really hurts Georgia on his running on his legs.
Yeah.
But he can't just stop in the middle of the shark fest, should I say? He's gonna have to run away from him. He's gonna have to run away from him pretty quick.
Oh, for sure. So Jacob wanted to view this Houston Cincinnati game, which I think could be one of the more intriguing matchups. I mean, Houston's been a pretty good team this year.
I just think Houston.
The question is,
I think
you have an 11-1 Houston taking on a 12-0 Cincinnati. I think if Cincinnati wins this, I think they get one of the 4 spots.
Houston.
Now the question is, if Houston gets the upset, could Houston? Do they get a spot in here? I don't think so. But I mean,
Houston's ranked. No, Houston's ranked 19th. No way.
It won't happen.
No, there's no way they're jumping up 15. No way.
What's cool though,
especially
is
not
these
with the loss.
Yeah, what's so cool though is you have these offenses. You got Clayton Tune and Desmond Ritter at quarterbacks. Both are over 3,000 yards. Actually, Desmond Ritter's literally right at the 3,000 yard mark. Has one more touchdown than Clayton Tune, and they both have 8 picks. So I mean, they're both looking pretty good. Cincinnati, we know what they've been. Go ahead.
I know Houston has a loss Texas Tech, but they've gotten a lot better since then. I mean, they are,
especially on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, they got into this crazy shootout you see here with USF, but then they only gave up 8 to Temple. They gave up 13 to Memphis. They gave up 17 to UConn. I mean, we're talking about some pretty terrible teams, but I mean, that's still, at least if you're Houston, I don't care who you're playing. That's a good turnaround.
This Seattle game is crazy.
Yeah.
I think Houston will keep it close, but I think Cincinnati will win. Let's say by a touchdown. It won't be close. It'll be close, closer than the experts think. I think.
So, do you see it like shootout style, but not too high in a way?
I see 42 to 28.
A little back and forth.
42-28 Cincinnati.
Well, I could see it what Ballard's talking about, and then let's say at the end, Cincinnati's being Cincinnati and opens it up to 42. I can kind of see that.
Yeah, Cincinnati, I think Houston's the better athletes, but I just think Cincinnati's better technique, better coaching, better team. I think they're going to win.
I think it's going to surprise some people in ways. I think there's quite a bit of offense on here. I think the offenses are going to get going and get clicking. I think it's somewhat of a shootout. I think Cincinnati will win by 11. I'll just go ahead and get the score. I think they pull away towards the end, but they get it done 41-30.
Yeah, that sounds pretty logical. Yeah, I like that.
The spread's 10.5.
He said
that's an 11-point game.
I know it's off topic, but Crimson Brave just said Edward called in. Uncle Lou's having a call-in show right now. It's Monday.
Hey, Edward calling in.
Or am I missing something? I don't know.
But yeah, I think that if there's any team out there right now to have a chance to get Cincinnati, it's Houston. But I don't think that their offense compared to Cincinnati. I just think Cincinnati has a little bit more firepower with Desmond Ritter, Jerome Ford, all those guys. And I think they'll pull away towards the end. Maybe the defense does show up. They've had a rough day, giving up 30, but maybe they get back into the game towards the end. Maybe they get a stop on Houston and in the game or whatever. But I'm gonna say 41-30. I think it might be a little bit of a shootout, but Cincinnati pulling away.
Now, I'll tell you, though, with Houston, I'm really shocked and surprised that they're really this good because the last time they were, they had Tom Herman, and, of course, that had been years ago. And I really didn't think – honestly, I mean, I pay attention to college football, but I didn't realize Houston was this good. I'll be honest with you.
Well, I mean, look, they were good a couple years ago. Remember, they had De'Aaron King, who's at Miami, which I think he's just been one of those
they beat
college
Oklahoma
busts
week one. They beat Oklahoma week one.
They did, yeah. I mean, Houston is – I mean, they're one of those programs where you just never know what kind of Houston team you're going to get. And, I mean, I think the same could be said for maybe this Saturday. I mean, I don't know what we're going to see from them, but I expect Cincinnati and Luke Fickell to do what they've done all year and just win the game. I don't know.
Yeah, and then it'll be
Well, with all the coaching talk and everything, of course, you know I came in late because I'm sure you talked about it. But needless to say, Luke Fickell, he got a contract extension, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay, well, all the coaching talk could just die away. Cincinnati could play their football, whatever. And see, like Houston's coach now, I don't know his name, but see, he may be offered
Dana
after this.
He's the former West Virginia coach, Dana
Oh,
Holgorsen.
yeah.
Who is it?
Yeah, that makes sense now
Dana
why they're so
Holgorsen.
good.
The former West Virginia coach, remember him, Dana Holgorsen?
Right, yeah, because Neil Brown from Troy replaced him. Yeah,
I remember that.
because Neil Brown, West Virginia now.
Now they want Neil Brown fired, but
And West Virginia
Well, you know, I don't know, man. Well, anyway, what I was saying is that maybe whoever the Houston's coach was, maybe there will be some distractions there since Houston's finally really good, like they were with Tom Herman, and maybe people will try to steal him. That's where I was going with it. But either way,
Dana Holgorsen's a good coach. I just think West Virginia's a hard program to win at. And no offense to Golden Blue dude, but it's just West Virginia's just hard to win at.
That is true.
I mean, and they were good in the 2000s. I know. But, I mean, come on now. Let's be real for a second.
I still can't believe Brian Kelly left to go to LSU.
Oh
That's not official yet, but.
It's fixing. I bet you within 48 hours, he's packing his bags for Baton Rouge.
It's not official yet. And we heard Lincoln Riley, Jimbo Fisher, Lane Kiffin. Now I think Brian Kelly, I do think he's actually going to go to LSU, but it's not official.
But it's so crazy if you think about it. Right, but if it does become official, if you think about it, Brian Kelly's at this Catholic school, and now he's going to go straight to a party school.
No.
Wow.
No. The main program. Well, yeah, you're right. Notre Dame. Think about the downgrade.
Asian Bubbas.
Think about the downgrade from Notre Dame to LSU, though. Like LSU, I mean, come on now. But I think I know why he's leaving Notre Dame. I think he's leaving Notre Dame because he knows that he's never going to win a natty there. He knows that his team will always be good, 10-2, 11-1. But he wants a natty. I can just tell. And he thinks that going to LSU he can do that. And maybe that's true. But I just don't know.
Well, I mean, maybe he wants to win a conference championship. If you think about it, he's not winning nothing unless he wins the natty.
That's what Jeff, that's what Jeff Webster was saying earlier tonight, was that Brian Kelly has always kind of wanted to, and he had tried to get Notre Dame into a conference or whatever. And it's really the school. It's not the coach. It's the school.
Right.
Doesn't want.
He said Notre Dame is the second best job in the country, which I disagree with that. But he's basically saying that there's not many expectations. I mean, it's good reasoning. I just don't think Notre Dame's second best shot.
But why? Okay, so while we're talking about Notre Dame, this is what I can't understand. Why? It doesn't matter who the coach is. Why does Notre Dame, as a university institution, right? They want to put themselves playing almost 9 or 10, guaranteed almost every year between Michigan, Michigan State, or whoever they play, playing Power 5 schools. It's at least 9 or 10 of them. And knowing that if you don't win it all, you're not winning nothing all year. Why does Notre Dame want to put themselves through that every year? Why can't they not just join a conference? Like, I don't understand.
Well, they want to prove. Here's the thing: they want to prove that they're one of the best by playing those teams. But when it's time to put the big boy pants on and play in a conference championship on neutral turf, they crap themselves. They don't want to do it.
Notre Dame might have a new team joining. Notre Dame might have a new team joining them in the independent soon. You know who it is?
Who?
Gonna be Texas.
No, hell no.
How do you figure that?
It's a joke.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what I just remembered too with Texas and OU joining the SEC, and when that news first broke like a couple months ago, do y'all think that? Because I mean, there's so much drama. At least it's died down a bit. But is it possible that that's the beginning of the end for the Big 12?
No. Big 12 is adding 4 teams.
They added 4 of them? I only heard about Houston. Who else?
Cincinnati, Houston, BYU, and UCF.
Damn. Never mind.
Yeah. You didn't hear about that?
Well, I missed the part about BYU and UCF.
And Cincinnati?
When is BYU deciding they're going to go to a conference?
They just did, I guess, apparently.
It broke out in July that something. It was it's Cincinnati, UCF, BYU, and Houston all joined the Big 12. That's what's happening. Oh, Jeff's back in here. Yep. What's going on, Jeff?
And they will probably start play in the Big 12 in 2024.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's not confirmed, but that's what everybody is saying. I had a couple of phone calls about Matt Campbell I had to answer. That's why I left. So,
well,
wow.
I think I'm taking this the wrong way, but wouldn't Oklahoma and Texas have to leave before they join?
I think that's part of the deal.
I mean,
I'm assuming.
or they join after Oklahoma and Texas leave? Because if Oklahoma and Texas are joined until 2025, then
right, yes, that's correct. There will not be a situation where Oklahoma and Texas are playing in the Big 12, and so is the 4 that are coming in. Those will not.
Okay.
They will not overlap.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah. So will it be after or the same year that they switch?
I don't know. We'll have to see. I thought it was going to be 2020, the start of the school year, start of the college athletic year. So August, whatever, in 2024. But it could be 2025. It has to be. It won't be later than 25. That would be the latest it would happen because that's the contract that they have with the SEC as far as Texas and Oklahoma go. Texas and Oklahoma will be playing in the SEC no later than 2025, although it will not be 2022. We already know that.
Yeah.
So we know
I'm
that.
still trying to figure out. So where
we know
did they
that
decide?
we know what we know that 2022 is that the SEC and the Big 12, as they stand right now, will still be that way next year.
Okay.
Now,
They're not changing next year. Now they could in 2023, but they're not in 2022.
so
Okay.
when Texas and Oklahoma, and I forgot what people were saying about this, they're going to join the SEC. They want to keep them in the same division, but when did they have to? What's the plan to move teams around?
I think what they're going to do is
that's the interesting thing, because there's all this talk about pods,
Yeah,
but I'm not going to believe the pod system until I see it, because
like the NFL, right? Like four different.
somebody's going to have to explain to me how you then decide who the two best teams in the conference are.
well, they're doing it this way. Apparently, they're going to have a semifinal for the conference championship, then the conference championship game.
They'll never do that. They'll never do that, especially if the playoffs expand, because that's too many games.
Yeah, I think this is what's going to happen, and maybe y'all see it a different way. I think Texas and Oklahoma are going to go to the SEC West because that's just where they're located. I heard that they were gonna try to move Auburn and Alabama to the east. See, you just stole my idea.
And put Texas and Oklahoma in the West.
I was about to say, I think they're going to put Alabama and Auburn in the east. They're going to move Missouri to the west. I think that's what's going to happen.
I honestly, I don't care if we're in the east or not. I want us in the same division as Auburn, and I want us to be playing Auburn every year.
That's
it. Enough said. You want to move us to the east?
Alabama.
Hell, we get to play. We play Florida and Kentucky on a regular basis. I take those games up.
Well, here's the thing: Alabama or Auburn are never going to be in separate divisions. That's not going to happen. But before you stole my point, I was about to say Texas, Oklahoma to the west. I think Alabama, Auburn to the east, and I think they move. And now it's 9-7, 7 in the west, 9 in the east. I think they're going to move Missouri to the west, just because geographically that's going to make sense. So they'll move Missouri to the west. So the east will be Georgia, Alabama, Auburn, Kentucky, Florida, Tennessee, Vanderbilt, South Carolina. The west will be Oklahoma, Texas, LSU, Texas A&M, Arkansas, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Missouri. That's what I think is going to happen. Also been some other talk about maybe moving the Mississippis to the east instead of Alabama and Auburn, and then moving Missouri to the west. But I think it's going to be Alabama and Auburn. But yeah, now I've talked for a long time now, so I'll give y'all time to talk now.
Or we could find another SEC team to join Vanderbilt and kick them out of the conference.
Right? There you go. Vanderbilt's
terrible, guys. Like, what in the world? They do not even belong in the SEC, man.
And here's the thing: if Notre Dame's going to be in the Big Ten,
but we're good
hockey,
at baseball.
Here's the thing: if Notre Dame's going to be in the Big Ten in hockey, the ACC in basketball, and independent football, why can't Notre Dame be in the SEC in baseball and be in the Sun Belt in football?
Neo says he likes Bama and Auburn in the East. Like I said, I don't care. Just keep us in the same division. Well, and if you think about it, with Auburn and Georgia, wouldn't that make sense? I mean, that's their big. Well,
now Alabama, you don't have to worry about
rival, but
Alabama and Auburn are never going to be separated. What you will have to worry about, though, is Alabama
playing Georgia every year. Damn it!
No, what you will have to worry about is some Alabama fan. I don't know if you care or not, but a lot of Alabama fans, they don't want to be in a separate division from LSU. But I think that's going to happen. Although that might be their cross division.
I don't care.
That's going to be but I think that might be their cross division. Well, LSU has already won with Florida, so I don't know.
Oh crap! See, that's what's really messed up with that. Because can you do two cross division rivals?
Well,
I guess there's nothing. I don't see anything wrong with it.
He's going to go to 9 conference games. Here's what they might do. They might get rid of the permanent cross-division rival games. considering now that Georgia and Auburn are in the same division, Alabama, Tennessee in the same division, Missouri, Arkansas in the same division, all that, they might get rid of the permanent cross-division games. If they don't,
it does. Texas and Oklahoma coming here, which they've talked on and off about renewing this, but I think it would guarantee Texas A&M comes back for good.
No, they're in the same division. They have to
Right.
play.
So that rivalry is coming back.
They have to play.
Right. I'm excited for that.
Well, I think the cross-division games, if I think it were to be, it's going to take me a long time to think of this. I think it would be the same ones, the same ones as like Kentucky, Mississippi State, Texas A&M, and South Carolina, Ole Miss, and Vanderbilt. Yeah, how many people knew that Ole Miss played Vanderbilt every year?
Yeah.
Florida, LSU. Those four, I think, are going to stay the same. I don't see those changing.
Yeah.
But you got four. You got change four. So I think it's going to be this. I think it might be Georgia, Oklahoma. I think we might see. Take me a while to think of this. Hold on a second. It's taking me a long time to. We might see. Oh yeah, we might see Tennessee versus Missouri. This is a lot harder than I thought it'd be. Okay, so now we got Alabama, Texas, Auburn, and who was the other one?
The problem you have, if you stay as an East and a West with 8 teams on each side, is you play the other 7, and then you play 2 of the opposite. You'd have to take away the permanent cross-division game.
Oh, you think they're going to do that?
Otherwise, you're only going to play some teams like once a decade. That's just not going to happen. They're probably going to do the pod thing. And if they go pods, it'll be Arkansas, Oklahoma, Texas, and Texas A&M, Missouri, LSU, Ole Miss, and Mississippi State, Vandy, Tennessee, Alabama, Auburn, and Kentucky, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida. That'll be the pods. Nobody's arguing who the pods will be. We all know who the pods will be. It's just a matter of how you're going to schedule it and how you're going to determine the 2 teams that are playing for the. I just don't see them doing 8 in the East and 8 in the West.
You would do a 14 SEC playoff.
Yeah, it's 8 in the East and 8 in the West makes it too difficult. You're just there's going to be some schools you're just never going to play. It's just going to take forever. Right. If you do a pod system, that means that each recruit coming to school A in pod A will play every SEC team at least once before he graduates. So you'll see there won't be any school that will be longer than 4 years off of your schedule if you go to the pods.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Now that you bring up that point.
Yeah.
Now you bring up that point, I was probably wasting time thinking of how the cross division permanent would be. But
here, the pods would be, for an example, A, B, C, and D. Well, they might come up with names for them, but let's just call them A, B, C, and D. Okay. Yeah. And A is Texas, Texas A&M, Arkansas, and Oklahoma. Okay. So let's be Arkansas. Let's all be Arkansas right now. Okay. So if you're Arkansas, you're going to play A&M, Texas, and Oklahoma every year because they're in your pod. So there's 3 games. And you're going to play pod B, which is LSU, the 2 Mississippis, and Missouri. So there's 7. Okay. And then you're going to play Team A and Team B from pod C. The next year, you're going to play everybody in A, everybody in B, and team 3 and team 4 from C. And then you're going to play everybody in A and everybody in B, and team 1 and team 2 from D. And then everybody in A, everybody in B, and then team 3 and team 4 from D. That's how you do it.
Yeah.
That's how you get everybody on your schedule at least once every 4 years. And your pod and the pod you're linked with will play each other every year.
Yeah.
In that situation, you'd have Alabama playing Auburn, Tennessee, and Vanderbilt, Georgia, Florida, South Carolina, and Kentucky every single year.
Yeah, but I don't want to go to pods. I'd rather stay in divisions.
If you go to divisions, it's a longer route to play the other teams.
Yeah.
If you keep
Right.
the permanent.
I think you need to get rid of that.
Yeah. Well, see, that's been my argument as a Georgia fan. You know, we there's teams that we now here recently, like I think next year we play Mississippi State, but like we've only played, I think, heck, man, since Texas A&M joined the SEC twice.
No. Georgia's only played Texas A&M once.
Okay, once. I mean, since they joined, which to me is utter ridiculous.
Well,
So I mean, I
should've
see
been
what you're saying, but also I see about what they're saying about divisions as well.
Well, it should have
I'll
already
say
been
this.
it.
Georgia and Alabama played each other only once every 5 or 6 years right now.
Well, besides
For the
the
regular
SEC,
season.
besides SEC championships.
Yeah.
Right.
But
You have to get rid of the permanent game in order to play everybody every 4 years.
and they should.
Right. I
Like,
mean,
you might as well, because Georgia, if Alabama and Tennessee and Georgia are going to be in the same division, I mean, you might as well get rid of the permanent cross division games. But that's what I would do:
Right.
get rid of the permanent cross division games, play 9 conference
I hate
games.
it means you lose the big. If that happens, the game with the most sizzle that will disappear would be Alabama LSU.
Yeah.
That game would go to a once every 4 years. There's
Yeah.
no other real, because Georgia wouldn't lose anybody. They're going to play who they play every year. Alabama would still play Auburn. Alabama would still play Tennessee. The big sizzle game that would disappear is Alabama LSU.
Yeah, but
Because nobody's going to miss South Carolina A&M.
yeah. I mean, there's a lot. Most cross division games right now are not rivalry games. They're just there because they have to do it, or they have to play someone permanent. Because the only real cross division rivalry games is Georgia, Auburn, Florida, LSU, and what some people consider rivalry, Alabama, Tennessee, which it is rivalry.
It is a rivalry, trust me.
Yeah,
It
It's
is.
just one-sided right now.
But those would all become just normal regular season. I mean, not normal, but you know what I mean. They would be every year. You don't lose those games. They're scheduled in every single year now.
The other
Can I just go ahead and say that? Screw it. I like how it's set up right now, and we don't need to be changing anything, in my opinion.
But it's going to change.
I know it is. And
I don't think there's anybody
when it comes, all I ask is that you don't screw around our schedule by moving anything like the arm. Don't with the bigger rivalries. Don't screw.
They're going to, Ballard, because we have South Carolina and Vanderbilt, the sucky games we have to play, and it's going to screw the rest of it up.
Yeah.
Because they're wanting to expand. So until you get rid of these crappy teams and keep it the way it is, with say Oklahoma and Texas replaces South Carolina and Vanderbilt, for example, they're going to have to screw with it.
Yeah.
We drop cupcakes for more.
The thing about it is You don't have to change the dates.
Nice.
Alabama and Auburn can still
See,
be
that's what I was getting at, Jeff. I was just making
right,
sure we wouldn't have to do
right,
that.
right. You don't have to change the date of the Iron Bowl. You can still make it the last regular season game.
Like,
Yeah.
That doesn't have to change. Alabama and Tennessee can still play in the middle of October.
Yeah.
That doesn't have to change.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I think Texas A&M Tech's probably going to play last week regular season from now on.
That'll probably be and
that would be
Texas
awesome.
and Oklahoma will probably still be earlier in the year as it is right now.
Yeah, I mean, Texas A&M is only playing LSU last week of the season because they have no one else to play.
So who would you put with LSU then on rivalry weekend if you do Texas and Texas A&M?
Well, LSU probably going to have to get Oklahoma.
Play LSU.
LSU should play Arkansas, but they're going to probably keep that at the end. And honestly, it's probably going to be Missouri.
Yeah, LSU, Arkansas.
If Jacob's right about like maybe them getting Oklahoma, they'd have to move the Oklahoma State game for Oklahoma then.
Oh yeah, that's that.
I'm just saying. I mean, there's
I don't think
that's a big one.
Get a load of this.
I don't think they're going to drop.
Get a load of this. Can you imagine if the SEC had the steel balls to do this?
I got
Make
balls.
make week 12 A&M Texas, the Egg Bowl, the Iron Bowl, the world's largest cocktail party, Tennessee Vandy, South Carolina, Kentucky, and LSU Mississippi, and Texas and Arkansas, Oklahoma. Put all of them in week 12. Can you imagine that?
Look, as a Georgia fan, I will dig that.
Imagine
all conference then on week 12.
But yeah.
Yeah.
I see that at the same time.
Here's why they wouldn't do that. Here's why they wouldn't.
They already have non-con games in place like Georgia, Georgia Tech, Florida State.
Traditional.
Stop it. The real reason they wouldn't do that is because they don't want all those tremendous rivalries competing for television viewing time.
Yeah.
Well, that damn sure ain't going to get it between Georgia and Georgia Tech. Because they didn't even show one Georgia highlight in any halftime report because Georgia Tech sucks that bad.
Wow. Did they really not show any highlights?
They
skipped it.
They showed highlights.
I watched Oklahoma State, primetime ABC. Didn't show, skipped over Georgia, acted like Georgia was off. Didn't even talk about Georgia. And that's okay.
They talk about Georgia in the halftime of the Iron Bowl.
But not on ABC on Saturday night is what I'm saying. So to me, Georgia Tech does Georgia no good any year.
Well, I wouldn't mind getting rid of the game at this point. It's
not a rivalry.
It's not even like I wouldn't mind getting rid of the game. And I know some Georgia fans would get mad at me for saying that, but I stand by it. I really don't care for Georgia Tech. I really don't.
And no, it hurts Georgia more than it helps us. Even if Georgia
bad team on our schedule.
Exactly. They are literally worse. I almost can bet you right now if Vanderbilt played Georgia Tech will probably win by 3, but it would probably be the battle of the suckies.
Yeah, I mean,
it would be that bad. And I honestly believe it's not just this year, last year, or whatever. Wait, when people comes to us Georgia fans, Ballard and JW, look, it's not even like you can't even make fun of our rivalry no more. Like you looked at rivalry, look at NC State and North Carolina. You can literally say that was a good game. Same thing with the Iron Bowl, same thing with the Egg Bowl. But it's not the fact that Georgia's good this year. It's the fact that the game just flat out sucks because Georgia Tech sucks every year. They beat us in the last 20 years 3 times.
Yeah. 2008.
They're so irrelevant, they hurt us more than they help us.
And it hurts Georgia Tech themselves because that's another loss for them on their schedule. So, I wouldn't mind getting rid of the game. It's not. I don't care for Georgia Tech. I really.
I think Georgia Southern could put up a better contest than Georgia Tech.
Well, we
I
actually
literally
did.
do, man.
We had a deal with Georgia Southern to play them once every 4 years. Although we don't do that anymore. We did it from 2000 to 2015.
But what Jeff was saying about the cocktail party, it's never going to be at the end of the year when we Georgia fans can fuss about Georgia Tech every year. Bottom line is Florida's not going to get rid of Florida State.
Yeah, Florida, that's a rivalry. Like, come on now.
Yeah, I mean, it's 24-21. I mean, that's a good ball game, you know, regardless who won. It was competition.
I think what I'd like to see, if they gave me control and let me wave the magic wand, is I'd like to see a 9-game SEC schedule. Then you can leave one other game for a Power 5 rivalry outside of the conference. You know, pick and choose who you want to be. Like Florida would choose Florida State. Whatever. So you have that outside of the conference game. Then I would say you've got 2 other games, and only one of those 2 other games can be FCS. Or if you want to be even more bitchy about it, only one of those can be G5. I want to take away teams playing 2 cupcakes a year. I'll let you have 1 cupcake because those cupcake schools need the money they earn from playing the big dog. That helps fuel their programs, and it gives your team a chance to play the 3rd and the 4th stringers and make mom and dad and grandma and grandpa happy. So I don't have a problem with the 1 cupcake on the schedule.
But 2?
But get rid of the second one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
Well, New Mexico State got $1.5 million from coming to get thumped at Alabama. Okay, that $1.5 million means a hell of a lot to the New Mexico State athletic department. I mean that's a big chunk of money for them. I mean, how much money did Samford make playing Florida? I mean, they probably got half of their budget was probably paid in that 1 game. You know, so I don't mind putting the cupcakes in there once, but you shouldn't be able to play 2 cupcakes.
Yeah.
The problem with my own argument, and this is I'm shooting my own argument in the foot here, is that you schedule these games so far out, you don't know who, the State Institute of the Blind might decide to play the State Institute of the Deaf, but 5 years from now, the State Institute from the Deaf might go in the shitter and not be any good. So what looked like a great matchup when you scheduled them, when you play them, everybody says, "What are you doing playing those guys?" Because you just don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right, but for example, I understand what you're saying, but also common sense, like, okay, look at Georgia's schedule next year. I believe we have Kent State and New Mexico State. In your defense, I believe that's the 2 teams. Anyway, in your defense, realistically speaking, you already know they're going to be shit regardless when they play Georgia.
Right.
Yeah, I might tune out.
So I can kind of see what you're saying, Jeff.
Yeah, I might tune out here because they're about to interview Lincoln Riley for the first time since he joined USC. Yeah. So,
well, yeah. Listen, guys, it was great hanging out with y'all as always. I got to get some sleep because I got to get up and go to class tomorrow.
All right, we'll see you, bud.
You're gonna go to Ubu or just go off?
I can and let y'all keep talking if you want me to, but I'm heading to bed. But yeah, y'all hit that thumbs up, subscribe. Georgia, go get you a butt whooping on Saturday. Roll Tide.
Okay, yeah.